Andrew withdrew and was immediately surrounded by courtiers on all sides. Everywhere he saw friendly looks and heard friendly words. Yesterday's adjutant reproached him for not having stayed at the palace and offered him his own house. The Minister of War came up and congratulated him on the Maria Theresa Order of the third grade, which the Emperor was conferring on him. The Empress Chamberlain.
All right, enough of that. Anyway, good evening. It is episode 194 of the longest running episodic, whatever the hell this is. Now, if you're wondering what happened there, what Eric was doing, unfortunately, I was trying to make this stupid thing work at the same time. But Eric, alas, has been going on and on and on. It's like, guys, did you watch the end of Hobby Palooza? Like, here's what happened. Eric, commence the War and Peace. Begin.
War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, Book 1, 1805, Chapter 1. Well, Prince, so Genoa and Lucca are now family.
And he's been going since then. Like, Jason left. We all left. Everybody went away. And Eric's just been going since basically last week. He's been nonstop. It's been incredible.
I think
alas, he's not all the way
away.
through the book. What's the scariest part is he's not through the book yet. He didn't finish. That's the worst part.
That's just chapter 1.
Yeah, like it's tragic.
Yeah, I have a long way to go. You want me to keep going? I mean, we got 4 hours to kill.
This is all very tragic. This is very sad. Defects of Life. First comment. Howdy, y'all. Good evening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to thumbs down the scrap if Sherika keeps reading. Hey, listen. This is culture. Paul, this is culture. War and Peace. Come on, man. Can't be questioning the culture, the hashtag scholarship. At least it's real scholarship, as opposed to some of the whatever passes for it these days. Good evening, Jeff. Absolutely. Now, I did laugh. I was telling the guys one of the things that made me chuckle a little bit. I know that a couple of the guys from Four Collectors have basically decided to have their own live stream on Fridays. And I'm sitting there like, really, guys? Now, at the end of the day, everybody can do whatever they're going to do. I always make fun of other folks when they complain about it because it's like, you can't stop anybody. Nobody owns a time slot. But at the same time, it's like, it seems a little bit problematic to kind of split a segment of the audience. It's always a little weird to do that on purpose, especially when and if you don't, like, you need to do a little research, my friend. It's not that much work, but okay. But listen, it is what it is. I thought about showing a bunch of vintage baseball cards, but I figure that's been overplayed. A little bit.
Mine.
Really? Because I had my whole collection I was going to show. All right. Well, if we're not going to show baseball.
Yannick, if you're going to show cards, listen, vintage baseball, that's all well and great. It's fine. You got to be talking cheese string them on, man. Come on. Like,
That's the card.
That right there.
That's taking it up.
That's the good stuff. That right there, it appeals to the youths. You got to appeal to all the demos. You can't just appeal to one thing. You got to have that. Like, you can. I actually recorded a whole 15-minute pickup video for thing because I got my cards package in today. So I got wrestling. I got the bring them on. I got some wrestling. I got that in there, and I even got some Not Swell Fella PC. Some Oh yes, and
Ufov?
Oh yes, indeed. And I got something that is a little bit more oddballish. I won't go all the way to oddball, but from basically Upper Deck's promo department, they actually made a Christmas card for AEW in 2021. So you got a Happy Holidays 2021 there. So a little bit different. So that's included as part of the pickup video as well. So I thought, hey, so we got a little bit of that.
Christmas cards from
what's that?
People who collect Christmas cards going back to the 30s.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was interesting because it was something off the beaten path. And since I've got so much of the Dennis PC stuff, it's like, oh, well, that one definitely stands out because that one I think they gave to certain customers and I want to say dealers because it's
you're gonna grade it?
Promo.
You're gonna grade it?
I probably could. Think of the size of the slab that I need for that.
I know
it would cost me like $80 for the stupid thing. So here it is. So no better time the holidays to express our sincerest appreciation to our loyal collectors, longtime partners, and valued associates. So it's very specific groups that got these ones. So they're out there, but I think there's one on eBay right now that somebody wants $300 for. I did not pay that.
Really?
Well, because they're not rare, but they're not common. I would call them reasonably uncommon just because obviously people got them. Maybe they just chucked them to the side. It was like a little promo thing, basically. Did they think about it? So we're going to see. I don't know. So we'll see here. Get him Justin. The war of late night hobby streams. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We could just I thought about getting Eric, as a countermeasure. I just thought if I want to do that, I could just do this. Here, 53 Bowman color. Another vintage card. Eric, go grab some random Boston Bruins. Just put them on the screen.
Not another 33 Bruce.
What's
Not
up?
we didn't even get a
33 Bruce. Oh my god.
Yes, I know.
What
We
color
didn't even
is
get a
it?
chance.
What
We didn't even
color
get a
is it?
chance to really enjoy and appreciate. I had forgotten that the NHL draft was tonight. And Eric's favorite Boston Bruin of all time, the single greatest living dead at all time Boston Bruin, Joe Thornton, read out the first pick of the 2024 draft. Sensational, phenomenal.
Has he shaved
Just
yet?
wow.
Joey T.
Does he still have that big Yannick beard?
I thought so. Yeah, like on NHL.com, they have a picture of him with the draft pick and everybody. He's like, and I'm sitting there like, do you actually think that's a good look for you? Like, I have a legit question. It's like, does he actually think that is a good look for him? Like,
I think he thinks he's still waiting to win a Stanley Cup before he shaves it again.
yeah, that's what I mean. That's basically my question, Bobby. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's like you understand you're retired, sir.
Yeah,
you do know that.
But
Here,
you can get in as a builder to the Hall of Fame, so he can
here you
be
go.
a coach, assistant coach.
Yeah, so he's third from the left with the ridiculous beard.
Yeah.
Looks like great guy to me.
I figured you'd appreciate that, Yannick.
Oh well,
It's not just a look, man. It's a way of living.
you
guys don't get it.
the hero of Quebec.
Hey,
Who's she?
don't talk against
I
Celine.
think it's Celine. Is it
That's
Celine?
Celine. Makes the pick for the Habs.
Well, Celine right now has been trying to make a little bit of the tour around because she's been having that. She got diagnosed with that ailment. She was in the So and it affects all her voice and muscles and everything. And it's a big problematic thing. So good for her for getting around and doing what she can.
Oh yeah.
So it's like
She had
I'm
that
not
movie.
helping Celine. God save. Used to be God save the Queen. We want to make sure we say God save Celine.
Celine, yes.
Yes, we all love Celine. Okay, my heart will go on.
Celine
Especially
Marcel
around here.
there you go.
That she is beloved.
Zach here. Well over 4 collection. No, Sammy Thunder. You got to go to Sammy Thunder. That's where you go. He is one of the 4 collectors because there are 4 of them. You see, it's very clever. It's a play on words.
You know something? I actually want to see how many baseball cards I have. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to go get my baseball card collection. Hold on.
All right. And then when you're done, I want you to do a quick measurement. I want you to go to your Excel spreadsheet file and measure the amount of baseball cards you have with the amount of relevant Boston Bruins in the entire history of this franchise. You're going to notice it's probably about the same.
Or London.
The numbers should pretty much match up. Yeah, it might even be. Yeah, there might even be less. Who knows?
You guys notice how long it took him to get off the chair?
Yeah, it was pretty fast this time.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's usually sliding around on that chair. He's not getting up very often.
That's true.
Some things are broken, Bobby.
Only some things. He'll get back on the bike at some point. He'll find a way to break something else. Yep, the Mirror Gold was one of the ones. That's the Not Swell Fella PC Mirror Gold. So that one's on the Instagram. We got that one on there, so that's a good one. Justin says, "Cheers, Yannick, Philly Joe. Good evening, Carlos and gang. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you." Global. Good day there, my hobby friends and Eric. That's right.
What?
I caught 5 Guys Burger is actually 6 guys. I know it's very confusing. It's very confusing, defects.
I knew it.
Like I'm trying to get around it, man. Yeah, this week was actually funny because all I spent my this week was just trying to recover a little bit. So I managed that. We still managed to get the podcast episodes out, so it was good. But that was basically all the energy I had. So the episodes were shorter because that's all the gas I had in the tank. So I needed the rest.
I don't count Danny Ainge cards, okay? They're in the basketball section.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Is that where we're going?
Doesn't count.
Okay.
All right.
He's working on it.
It reeks of pro set.
Yeah, I bet if you wanted to look for more cards like that and fulfill and be like Eric and try to add more baseball to your life, you could probably find some at AMG Collectibles, amgcollectibles.ca, and the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. I bet you could.
Baseball.
I know
The
you
last
could.
episode was my flu game episode, but they had some fancy cards. And Yannick, you'll appreciate this. I'll even give you a sneak preview because I know you'd appreciate it. There is some more fancy vintage baseball that will be appearing on the next episode. I already got some scans, including some very nice fancy stuff.
I saw some 61 tops too of like Musée Lalonde and other guys like that.
Well, there is there may be some 53 tops baseball that may have come across my desk virtually, so to speak.
Really?
So there's a little bit of that. Maybe some Jackie Robinson. Who knows?
All right.
Just
No joking aside.
No joking aside.
No joking aside, because we don't joke here. This is the extent of my baseball card collection, and I am going to show them.
Amazing.
Yeah, no choice. No choice.
This is a Topps Chrome Ted Williams.
Signed.
Wow, shiny modern Ted Williams. Look at this guy.
Yeah. I'll have him sign it the next time I see him.
See, Bobby, this is riveting content. I love when people just sit there and just show cards. It's very exciting.
I
Especially
actually
baseball.
told this myself.
It doesn't matter the sport, Bobby. I won't be picky. Just sitting there and showing
We've
cards.
had our fill of baseball. That's why I'm just saying.
I pulled this myself out of the old Drake's Cakes when I was a kid. All right. Opened up the box. Went to get me some cakes.
Here's a classic.
Pulled that one out myself.
I thought you'd have the 51 Ruth out of the Drake's Cakes.
It might be in here. I'm not sure. I'd have no idea where this came from or why I own it.
It's a Red Sox. It's 1980 Tops. It's Carl Yastrzemski, man. Come on.
Yes.
I got a Tony Gwynn card.
It's 86 Tops.
It's not his rookie, so it's worth about maybe 5 cents. I have this card because I watched this game live, and I guess I may have still watched a little bit of baseball at this time because I watched this happen live on my television set.
Yeah, that was 89 Upper Deck for the 80 World Series, the Kirk Gibson home run.
So I grabbed that. Here is a draft pick card of Jeff Juden, who
1990 Tops. Yes.
Yeah.
Who panned out?
He pitched for Salem High School while I was at Beverly High School, and Beverly and Salem are arch rivals, high school rivals and all that. And so here's somebody that I'd see in the area and watched him play and all that in high school. And he went off and got his own card. So I end up with one of those. The most exciting player of his generation.
Bo knows.
I would say the biggest stud athlete.
Here's
Like
Bo.
he basically had all the tools.
Yeah. Bo was the dude, man.
I had no idea I had this, just found it. Don't know. I mean, it's relatively new too. I can tell you the story again for the 100th time about how he talked to me at a urinal and broke man code.
Your buddy.
My buddy.
Pudge
Fisk. I don't know where these came from or why I have them. And then I have this one, which I really do like. I'd throw the rest of them in the trash and keep this one because I really like this one a lot. And that is a shiny Jackie Robinson.
There you go.
See, while you were at the urinal, Pudge put him in your back pocket.
He may have.
Yeah.
He may have, but I'll never.
Man was trying to help you.
I'll never forgive him for breaking man code and talking to me. It's like, I don't know you. Stop talking to me. I would have talked to him after if he.
I want to note it for the record, though. He said in praising the Jackie Robinson card, he said he would be happy to throw out a 1980 Topps
everything else.
Take that, vintage boys. Take it.
Yeah, I'd take the Jackie over any of that other, but that is it. That is I do not have any other baseball cards in my house. That's it.
So the urinals, were they like 4 inches apart?
They were pretty close. We were like shoulder to shoulder, and he's a big guy, so he takes up a little more, width at the stall, and they didn't have dividers, so we were like shoulder to shoulder. And he just keeps telling me how he liked my orange hat and asked me about my hunting and things.
Well, code words or what? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was asking me all sorts of questions about hunting, and then we started talking about bows and arrows and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, it's like,
Like
a
the
There's
first
so many.
thing I-
There's so many
the first
jokes.
thing
that-
I think
I'm gonna
is
refrain.
Hunter when I see you, Eric, for sure. Hunter.
It's the first thought I have. Yeah, I think that's a man who's going to chase after a deer on a bicycle and crash, and the deer will die of laughter, and he'll take the deer home after he drags his body over to it.
Nah, Eric will trip on his own, then the deer will just take the bike, run away, and laugh. Basically.
I had to
Would
slam
give him Eric a wedgie before he leaves.
I have a good urinal story too.
Okay.
So at the Lee side shows,
That's a sentence that has never been.
Wait,
Hey,
urinal,
I'm unique.
urinal cakes or urinal store.
Urinal cakes.
Sorry.
Yeah, put my name on it, right?
Yeah.
Bobby Barra. Need him.
How quickly I want you all to know during Hobby Palooza, we were so good. The decorum was so great, at least for like an hour.
Yeah,
Bobby was on a
it
separate
lasted.
show, being all scholarly and everything. It was working great,
We're
and
back
it's
to
all
normal.
back. It's
Well,
all
we
back to
did-
normal. It's done.
We did the 3 minutes of baseball, so we're good.
That's
Right?
hey, we're ahead of the game at that point. So
I
anyways,
even
the
showed a
story
real
is-
vintage baseball card. I showed one.
Yeah, true. I got something nice to show you later. Yeah, so this the Lee side show, they redid the bathrooms and everything. So there's like 4 urinals there. So I'm pretty sure the guy who installed the urinals, the plumber, must have been 6'8", because there is no freaking way that urinal should be that high. I got to use the kiddie one, you know, because you just.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there going, who does this? You know, even maybe if you're 6'1", you might pass on some of them. So everyone's got to use the kiddie one. And it's funny seeing a guy who's 6'1" using the kiddie one, right? So, anyways, that was one of my pet peeves when you go into restrooms and you had a tall plumber. You can tell. Like there's no standard height. It's not like this international code or anything like that.
We're in trouble. Sorry to interrupt your urinal story.
My God!
We have a special guest.
Change seats.
Hey, Mom.
What's going on, Kathy?
We got a special guest in the house.
Hi
All
guys.
right.
How's it going, Kathy?
I was in the neighborhood. I thought I'd stop in.
Sounds
Oh,
good. Hey,
hello.
listen, it's an improvement. Eric has already dragged us down a dark path, so this is an improvement.
She's way better looking than you, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And she
true.
doesn't collect Lemelin.
Yeah, and she probably knows how to pronounce the name correctly, unlike some people.
Probably.
Carlos, how are you feeling?
I am feeling much better. I'm recovering much better. I was telling the guys though that I am keeping an eye on Carlos Senior, because whenever anybody in the house or in the extended family gets sick, we always have to keep an eye to make sure. So we're more paying attention to him, but I'm recovering well.
Oh, that's good.
He had the touch of the COVID.
Oh, that's what I was worried about. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been luckily for me where I am, I can once I knew that was the case, I'm well stocked here. I can stay at home and relax and just get rest, and it was fine for me. So I just took advantage of the opportunity. And Friday I had off anyway from work, so I was like, all right, great. I got a long weekend plus the extra day. I'm like, fine.
It's the long
we're good.
weekend here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Monday was off for everybody, and then Friday I got off as well. So I was like, great. I'll take my long weekend, and we're solid.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, well, I can talk and actually be on camera. I had to be off camera when we were doing the podcast and everything, because I was telling the guys, it's like, I'm going to mute myself whenever I'm about to have a coughing fit. So you're seeing a logo, you're not seeing me having a coughing fit. All you're getting is just this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
So,
I said to Eric, how come Carlos wasn't on camera? And then he told me you were sick.
Yeah, he was busy. He was busy coughing a lung out or something. I needed a moment, but I can still produce a podcast anyway, as long as I can talk into the microphone, we can do it. So
And then the next morning, you did another one with just with the screen saver.
yeah. No, I still was a bit under the weather. I was a little bit better, but I needed the extra time. So that the beginning of the week was rough. By midweek, it was starting to get better, and then now today is not so bad.
Well, that's good.
Kathy, are you going to show us your football collection? We know you love football.
Well, I do like football.
She does.
Looking forward to the season starting again.
Should be good. We got a little time now. We're gonna enjoy at least a couple of months here in the summer, but things will ramp up very shortly. It's already started, so we're getting there.
Tell them how much fun you have watching mountain biking.
Right.
Tell them.
I do. Don't yell at me.
Good Lord.
That's elder abuse. Come on.
looking forward to being able to watch mountain biking for a while because everything else is finished now. So
Now blink twice if you're being told that against your will. You know.
no, I do enjoy watching it.
Does it concern you at all that it is the kind of sport that someone could imagine, if you will, someone with no coordination whatsoever, who could be on a bicycle and consistently crash and hurt themselves? Think about that kind of thing. Is that really a sport, an athletic sport, or is that something that maybe somebody should just stick to their stationary bike bolted to the ground?
Certain people
Mm-hmm.
at certain times in their
Mhm.
life should probably consider
Mm.
staying off of the goddamn thing.
Innuendo. Wow.
I agree.
Yes.
Mm.
Because other people in their lives are getting pretty tired
Mm.
having to put up with Mr. Grumpy, who is tired of being hurt all the time and not being able to go play with his friends.
Mm.
And not pulling his weight.
Right. And
Do all
not
the
playing
chores.
weight.
Mhm.
Yes.
Have you guys considered putting the training wheels back on?
Michelle and I are considering dismantling it.
Oh.
I can come and help if you want.
I have 8 of them, so it doesn't matter. Should they dismantle one? I'll just jump on a different one.
Yes.
You know,
And
Yannick, I'm thinking welding mask, and then you just weld them all together.
All together.
no, we're talking hammers and sawzalls.
Oh.
Well, that's what you do to Eric, but what about the bicycles?
Well, he's
And by
had
the
all that
way,
work.
by the way, Yannick, if the hammers and saws are in play for Eric, I will come down and help you.
Okay.
I will recover. I will fly on the first plane down. I'll bring Brad. I'll bring Yannick. We'll
Oh,
have
yeah.
bells on. We'll make this happen. We'll
Hey,
figure
come
out
on
what
down.
one of
We'll
the 3
have fun.
cities.
We're
We'll
finally
figure out which
taking
one of
the
the 3
limo
cities
jet
in
out.
Massachusetts Eric actually lives in, and we'll go, to this supposed place. There's a big blob on the map. We'll find the specific coordinates, and we'll come by, and we'll help Eric water his lawn.
Kathy, the hammer and sawzall has already been used on his hip.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
So
true.
it's not too far to go get them.
Yeah, we're getting tired of him getting hurt.
Mm.
I thought you were just getting tired of him, period.
Well, yeah, some days.
Mhm.
I don't know why I put up with this crap.
Because
Because you have no choice and no will of your own.
Oh,
Basically.
Yeah, but listen, I just felt like I would say what we're all thinking.
Well,
I just thought I would share it, so out loud, so that it's all understood. You don't
Mm.
want to leave it hanging in the room,
yeah.
all right, I'll let you guys get back to business. I just thought
Yeah.
I'd come say hi.
We'll look
Sounds
forward to your
good. So,
comment.
Kathy, real quick before you go, I also want to make sure I touched on Justin said hello and Cece says hello. So they
Hi,
do. The audience does appreciate it.
Nice to see you.
Appreciate you, Kathy. Thank you
All
for
right,
popping by.
take care.
See
Nice
you
to-
soon, Mom.
Did they like your hat?
I haven't showed it to him yet.
Oh.
Here, while she's here, I haven't had a chance to show you guys yet. I got this as a gift a little bit earlier today. She ordered me a hat,
Ah.
Oh,
and it
nice.
says,
Yeah, it says Sanderson to Orr on the hat. There you go.
Oh, nice.
right? It's in Bruins
Right.
colors, hockey player, right? Huh?
Very
She's
cool.
okay, right?
You
I'm
should
gonna-
put a bicycle on the back.
yeah,
She should put a crash bicycle with a body laying beside it, and then it'd be more
that'll
accurate.
be the next one.
That'll be the next one.
There you go. Thank you, Kathy.
See you later.
See you later.
So that's Kathy Eriksbaum,
Yep. Bye.
conveyor of truth. And good evening, Stuke. I did read your earlier comment. I didn't get a chance to read it out loud, but I did make sure we at least showed it so I could acknowledge it. Metrodome had trots where all the drunks lean against each other united. So yeah, they had that. The Buffalo Bills football stadium had the troughs. And Bobby, I
Maple
think
Leaf
did Maple
Gardens.
Leaf Gardens? Yeah, Maple Leaf Gardens had the troughs. That's right.
Detroit had them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
There
pretty
are a few
much every
places.
old stadium had either the troughs or they had the circle trough. You guys ever
Yeah,
seen
I
that?
think,
that's even. Yeah, I guess PBD
There
has
was a
that.
circle
But
trough.
It was a
Oh,
circle.
it was basically literally a circle where, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
No,
Bobby,
it
I don't
was.
remember. I'm trying.
Only
The
in
problem is
Boston,
my
I
memory's.
guess.
I don't know what you guys do there, but we don't
But
circle
jerk,
truffles.
I don't know.
Circle is
I'm not saying anything, but
It's the-
Listen, what Eric does on his own time is his own business.
no,
What I was going to ask is, Bobby, refresh my memory. I think Ivor Wynn in Hamilton also was one of those because they had an
there
old school
was a
stadium
couple
there as well.
smaller. Yes, they were
Yeah.
templated off the gardens actually. So, yeah, and you know where the gardens ended up? It ended up on a hog farm, the troughs, or at
Well,
least some of them.
that seems about that's probably
And they
seems
used
appropriate,
it for you know what, feeding the hogs. Anyways, that was one part of that where some of them went. Those troughs, I remember, you know, my dad had to hold me up because when I was young in 1970, you couldn't reach the trough. It was just the worst. It was honestly, there's no privacy. It was hard.
that and it's just.
Are you sure, based on your previous story, it wasn't just the tall plumber?
Maybe
Imagine
it
if
was,
the troughs-
it was the short
imagine
plumber.
Maybe that was the issue. Yes,
So,
maybe that was
yeah,
your
what's
problem.
with all this bathroom talk?
And listen, I don't recall instigating any of this. I got to go back in the tape, but I have no recollection of any.
No,
of this.
it's-
That's all I'm saying.
Eric started it.
No, yeah, it's
Pudge,
because of,
yes.
Pudge Fisk.
Yeah,
Wait
that's pretty
then.
much it. There you go, Katie Wade. Did you talk about your hat yet? He did. He
You
did.
don't have to say
Oh.
Fisk after Pudge. Come on.
Well,
There you
you
go.
have Pudge Rodriguez, right?
There's
who
Pudge
stole-
Rodriguez.
No. When you're talking famous, we're talking. You know,
All right.
and you're in Boston, for fuck's sakes.
I just want to say hi to my daughter. Hi, honey.
Oops, didn't mean to swear.
There you go.
She's
I did.
Also says hi, Yannick. Also
She's
says hi,
19.
Yannick.
Hi, Caitlin.
Yeah, she's 19 and goes to college. She may have heard a word or two.
Oh,
The
From
important
you,
thing,
yeah.
the important thing is that
Grumpy
we got
walking
a lot of
around.
the we got a chance to see a lot of the Wade clan already this evening.
yes.
I can bring in more if you're interested, but I don't know why you would be.
We've had a lot of them.
Mhm.
What do you want Rod Strickland rookie cards? Because that's a big deal, right?
Eric, I'm going to go back to my original question. I'm going to repose it. Are you sure that you don't just take like a 5-finger discount at Sports World and that's how you end up with random stuff you can't explain?
It's all that stuff that ends
Just
up
like-
in
you're
your
just
back
like-
pocket.
I don't. Because
It ends
they
up-
don't have Christopher Blevin mountain bike cards from Tops at the shop. I have
They
to go-
do. They're dumpster in the back.
They do a spandex insert patch on those mountain bike cards.
Well, Eric usually smells
Hey, you
those just
asked
to make
for
sure of the authenticity.
No
There you
shit.
It's a crotch patch, and
There
yeah,
you go.
Yeah, Eric checks.
you have
It's
to pee.
ours.
Multi-time Tour de France winner.
There you go. Did it got tested?
Did it get tested?
Everything should be tested.
Yeah.
Now, this one, Yannick, it'll be even better in HD when the video, like I've got the video set to drop in the morning for the pickups, but I did get another Chosen Rosen.
Oh, of course you did.
Yes,
Oh.
but it is a 1-of-1 Chosen Rosen, so we added another 1-of-1 Chosen Rosen to it. I like Spectra. I'm a fan of those. Did I need to? No. Did I do it anyway? Yes, I did. Katie says, "Nah, I get random stuff from Sports World, like Johnny Depp autos." There you
She
go.
goes in, right? Now she's been going in the shop since she was 3. All right. And actually probably before that, because I carry her in the little baby carrier, right? But she remembers going in since she was 3. Now she's 19. Well, Phil still sees her as a 3-year-old and gives her whatever she wants when she walks in there.
Not
And
worse.
She just walks around, does whatever she wants.
Did you ever consider going with the angle that you act like a 3-year-old, and maybe you should use that as your angle?
I've been doing that for 50 years.
No, but that's what I mean. Eric, that's my point. I feel like you're not getting it through to him that you act like a 3-year-old.
right.
So maybe like you should be getting in on some of that action.
By the way, he's just taking it off your paycheck, right?
Yeah. But so she's in there one day. This was like maybe 2 years ago. And she found I'm just really cool. Yeah. So she finds a Johnny Depp autograph 8x10 that came in with a big collection.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's looking at it. She's like, "Oh, Dad, look at this. It feels like you like that." She's like, "Yeah, I love Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean," and named off a few other movies and stuff. "Ah, you can have it." And she walks out with with a Johnny Depp auto 8x10.
So basically, you're telling me that you wanted the Johnny Depp autograph and you
Yeah.
never bothered asking, and now you got pissed off because Caitlin got it.
Oh, yeah, it's not really fair.
I think the problem is I don't think you can name as many Johnny Depp movies as she did.
Well, that's probably true. And I've been around as long as his career has been, and she could probably outname me.
I'm just saying. It sounded to me like a test of true fandom, and you were second.
So Eric has a secret Johnny Depp collection.
He's got a lot of secret collections.
Not a secret now. If you're gonna tell everybody, I knew I shouldn't have shown it to you.
Absolutely makes sense.
Another piece of the puzzle. So what did I get this week, Eric, in the mail?
We can do a live opening.
Yeah. Before you do, for the record, it's like I might have to make it across the board for everybody. Good evening, Katie. Thank you for popping in. Appreciate it.
Bye, honey.
For the record, someone, I don't care. I had trusted Eric, but I think somebody else has to do it. Somebody has to remind me to turn off the recording.
Oh,
because it only works before I go live. Before I go live, I can shut it off, but now I can't because the stream's already on. So I can't do it.
I'll see you guys a few times tonight then.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I said, like anybody, just say the word before I hit live, and then I can turn it off. But I have to push.
Maybe the guy that has the issue should remind you.
Maybe.
Wow.
Just
All
say.
right.
Just
Only 'cause
say.
Yeah, that's bloody fun.
Yeah.
But that was actually a phone call that came
Oh.
in. I just had an update,
Okay.
and then it just locked everything down, and then you guys
Look at all
I could
that
hear
stuff.
you in parts, and then it was gone. It's weird.
I found the whole thing with StreamYard and like the phones is very weird because almost any now to be fair, Eric, to be fair,
Well,
thank you. The whenever I do my pickup video, I use my phone to record it. But one thing that I have found, and I try to make sure I turn off the notification when it happens. If I'm in the middle of recording like it, so I'll have it in video mode and everything, and I got to set up on the tripod. But if I get a text message or something, it turns off the audio recording. I found that in the past. Once I learned that, I was like, so as soon as I see one like that, I stop recording, and then I finish checking whatever I need to check, and then I restart the recording and continue from where I left off. So the footage will be fine right up until the moment I receive that text message, and then the audio will suddenly cut out.
Yeah,
and it won't continue. Like the video will be recording, but it'll be silent movie.
Yeah, I think StreamYard was set up for home computers a little bit better than
a laptop or whatever. Something.
Yeah.
It's got to be a computer.
PC.
Well, it doesn't have to be, but it works better if that happens.
Yeah.
Paul was saying here, music and movie stuff can get stupid expensive. That is
20 grand. Holy.
Jim Morrison autograph. Yeah. Well, the problem is he died so young. The issue is that he died so young, and he died. It's almost the Kobe thing because a lot of folks look at the Kobe thing. Kobe signed a lot of stuff, but because he died in his early 40s, only years after his retirement, in theory, Kobe could have had decades of signing stuff. Maybe do an appearance here, appearance there, however many he wanted to do. But in theory, he had decades potentially to keep signing. Johnny Bauer signed for 150 years, and he didn't even live for 150 years. And he's scheduled to sign for like another 150 years. So he'll be signing autographs for, long after we're dead. The point is, though, if somebody has a long signing career, you're going to have plenty of autographs. But Jim Morrison drops dead in his 20s. Like, you're not getting any.
I think
at least not real ones. At least not real ones.
I think he's part of the 27 crew. People.
There's a number in the 20s. Yeah, where a bunch of them. I think him, Jimi Hendrix,
Janis Joplin,
Kurt Cobain.
Yeah. So the problem is, died in his 20s. Right at the apex of when he was popular, and also basically, we're talking. I think 70s is when he died. Basically.
Yeah.
So the problem is, that's 50 years ago. So that means the very last real signature that he could have signed was more than 50 years ago. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to get one that survived, that was real, that doesn't have issues or hasn't been destroyed over time or faded or whatever. So yeah, I have no problem seeing it go to 5 figures because it's just hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Defects here says plenty of Jim Morrison rookie cards and modern blue Sharpie are popping up. Yeah, that's where you get a little suspicious. It's like, how interesting.
And it's a scribble too. And it's a scribble.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's the
JM.
problem. You take a celebrity like that where they died too long ago, that's a problem. And then you take one that was popular and then died way sooner than you would have expected. That's it. You're done. So I get it. Makes sense to me. So you're going to do a little unboxing there, Eric? Is that what's happening?
There's
Is
a
it
lot.
everybody else's mail?
Yeah, the post office has been sucking lately, like big
because
time.
jerks.
Like starting to put like 1 star on Yelp there, like for like mail service. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dufix here says the Best of Doors CD from 1995, autographed by Jim Morrison. Legit, I'm sure. Yes, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Zach says, for as much as Kobe was signing for Panini, surprised me they didn't have a bunch to put in sets after he died. I think they used a lot of their inventory. They had a little
Probably.
bit, but I'm sure they used a lot of the inventory they had. But again, if you're Panini, you're sitting there at the moment that'll happen. You're assuming the guy's going to be around for years to sign more stuff for you. So you probably didn't stockpile it the way that you would have maybe thought about.
Uh-oh.
This is what I get.
We can still see the address.
Yeah, at least like now you're stop whining. You know it's for me.
Yeah.
Number 1, Dan. Yeah.
Like, come on. Actually, you should say thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. Can't tell you how happy I am.
I know.
You should be
get to
thrilled.
See me.
Cut yourself with that knife.
Yeah.
I don't know why you use a box knife when you have 40 other freaking knives that are so sharp you can cut paper. Whatever.
It is true. I can.
Yep.
Thank you very much for purchasing Reggie Lemelin's card. We appreciate that.
I like to think that this was the entire comment. I'm assuming it's not a typo. I just enjoy valid. Dufix
And then
says,
he
hi,
picks up a
Deandre's
box
Eric.
cutter.
Yep. Hi, Deandre's Eric. You don't want anyone stealing that baseball card collection you were showing off. I know. It was pretty hardcore.
I did hide the address. I just wanted everyone to see that that's what I get. His name is on the mail that comes here.
By the way, Eric, so I showed this off in a picture form, but here it is in person. So here's the trilogy one with the paint pen.
Oh, nice.
I actually think they did a good job with these. So what they did basically, Bobby, is they inserted like a piece of rubber to mimic the puck. So it actually has like a puck kind of design embedded into it. But I like it with a paint pen on there, like a puck type design on a paint pen. I think that actually looks pretty good.
It looks good.
Yeah. So I'm a fan when the design, at least they embellish it a bit, give it a little something. I think that makes it more interesting.
It needs a little something. How many parcels did you get?
Oh fuck! It's like 2 months, man.
This all came in this week. Don't listen to him.
No. There's like 2 months
This week.
of mail.
Unbelievable.
Amazing. Stu says, I'm working on an autograph collection with Through the Mails of George's Sister and Others dated 1961. Interesting.
Looks like a comic.
Zach says, is Eric opening somebody else's mail? Felony live on YouTube? Would be the first time.
There's all like the evidence now for customs and
Yes.
This is all mine.
It's a Topps Christmas card. Or is it Upper Deck?
Okay.
Well, mine was Upper Deck, so.
All right, here we go. Yannick, I'll put it up. You can describe whatever the stuff is, all right?
All right, he's got stuff. Here we go.
oh, I remember that. This
Okay,
is
here we
the
go. Hold
movie. This is the movie Youngblood, which is basically a hockey classic for anyone who knows anything about hockey movies. And this was a press release package, original from the when the movie came out. I think in like 85 or so ish.
83, 85.
Yeah, so you know,
Yeah.
Rob Lowe back in the day, Patrick Swayze. Definitely a must if you like a sports movie of any kind. Youngblood is a.
She was
classic.
hot. I liked her.
I like the scene.
A
Everybody
lot of
did.
those, a lot
Yeah.
of the, I think the
We all
rink,
know who played his father, right?
yeah, that was Boston.
The
Free guy.
actor.
He wasn't an actor. Who played Youngblood's dad?
It was the Boston.
Oh,
Bruins.
Youngblood's dad. He was a hockey guy. He was a hockey player.
He played for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Anyways,
I'm only interested if you got the first NBA three-pointer.
That's it.
Yeah.
Those are really cool, those promo packages. Movie package. So what they would be mailed out, and then you make your determination on, whether I'm going to take this movie to the theater, right? Like the theater owner would preview movies that they want to bring, and then they give you those snapshots and a little, write up on how the movie is and what it's supposed to do and what have you. So, they only survived if they were kept. And big movies like Star Wars, those are everywhere. But for Youngblood, I would say far less. And a lot of that was done at my home arena, Ted Reeves Arena, but also in Hamilton as well, the Hamilton Arena they used. So it was all filmed in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
All right, next.
It's,
this is
it's a piece of plastic.
A block of red.
basically it's an older baseball ticket from a game played in 1900.
Okay, there we go.
Wow.
So that shows it.
Yeah.
Colombian versus Knickerbocker.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but it's not the Knickerbockers as the first pretty much organized baseball team, but it's linked to the name it's just basically I think it's a New York team, but it's from a some kind of like a private club.
Eric, it's not working.
Anyway,
Yeah.
1900 baseball ticket, unique, one of a kind, different and
I'm
not a
actually curious,
Babe Ruth,
Yannick,
but kinda
did you? So you picked that up from? You bought that from? I guess an eBay lot or something like that.
Yep. Yeah,
Do they have images for the tickets or no?
Yes.
they did.
They did. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm wondering though. Do they have any for the lookup, or is it just from the lot that you bought on eBay?
I actually didn't like. You mean on PSA type of thing? Like I did.
Yeah. I don't know.
No,
I don't know
I
if they would. I don't know if they would take image. So here'd be a suggestion for PSA if they don't. It'd actually be pretty
Good
cool if they
question.
took an image of the tickets as well.
Yeah,
because for the
historical.
cards it's actually very handy. I would love for it to be extended to the tickets, especially since the tickets is becoming a bigger thing with folks.
Yeah.
To make sure that it's the same ticket that you get in the same reasons you would do it for the cards. I would do it for the tickets as well.
The best part of the tickets is you can't trim them. They usually have perforations around them. So
True.
All right, you
I
ready?
just
for
think
the
it would be
next
interesting.
thing? Ready for the next thing? I
No.
have
Go ahead.
no idea who this is.
Oh, that's an index card from a famous baseball player from home, Roland Edouard Gladu. But he's super underrated and unknown as he played in over 5 different leagues back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. The outlaw leagues in Mexico, Cuba as well. He played during the war for the Boston Braves. He played 24 games. And he played in England during the war as well. And anyway, he's got an amazing story for a pretty much unknown guy.
It's got a great autograph. I wish
someone's got
to. Good.
Someone has to write an article.
Yeah, actually, I'm working on that.
Good.
There you
So
go. So I was able to find, I believe, Yannick, I was able to find the eBay lot. So I actually have a picture of the ticket so we can see a little bit better.
Goodness.
There you go. There you go.
there it is. Yeah.
Driving me
It's-
crazy. Look at that.
1900. So it's 1900. It's not going to be very much in terms of graphics or anything on the ticket. It's going to be very basic, but that's basically how it's played out. It just gave the information. This is the time. This is the place. Adult, bearer, and ladies.
The case looks a little rough, that way. I never noticed. Is it
Looks-
rubbed that way?
I think it's just the reflection.
Might just be reflection, but
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, no, this definitely it's pretty scratched up.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
well, you can take. There's the
It
name
matches the age
escapes
of the
me.
ticket.
There you go. But if one of your cases for like graded is scuffed up, you can use it's like
okay.
an automobile compound. You
Yeah.
can basically it'll unless like it's a gash. If it's just
No.
but if it's just a little scuffing, you can use that and it cleans it up.
I'll
Little-
find out. There's
little
some really good
Kurtzberg.
stuff that everyone
I'll
buys.
fix it.
It's really good. No.
Kurtzberg. Kurtzberg.
It works
This
on
one though is actually like car polish. The name escapes me right now, but there is one that people have been using for years. By the way, this goes back years. But it's a way of avoiding
It's more
having
of a
to pay
compound.
I
for-
thought about it,
Yeah.
but like worst come worst, I can probably just like pay for a reholder if it's that bad. Like
but that's my
Wax
point, Yannick.
compound
If it's
would work.
not, my point though is if it's not bad, a dash of it, basically it cleans it right up and makes it look. That way you don't have to pay for a reholder for no reason if it's not
Yeah, I know.
necessary.
I'll check it out. I was still wanting it. I was kind of like I said, oh man, this is scratch, but you know, how many of those tickets you see going around? So
Well,
take that, Babe Ruth.
the next ones I'm going to show you.
Well, next time you can talk to Bobbles. He had season tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, back then, yeah, I can probably ask him to double check.
Yeah, you could go. You could have asked him for the Cap Anson rookie ticket. Just go all the way to the back to the beginning. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to say the next 3 are PSA slabbed and they're not in bags. So before they get scratched up, I'm going to put them in bags.
Yeah, you friggin' better.
All right, I will. I'm gonna. All right, you ready?
It's like
I'm actually expecting to. I'm expecting to have the other one waxed and clean when I get there. Perfect. Okay. Oh, look at that beauty.
Michel Goulet.
That's a beaut. PSA 10. Woo!
Yeesh.
That goes in the bag.
Who gives a crap? I just wanted him to slap and the price
is that
right.
his rookie year, Michel Goulet?
No, 80, 81. It's his
79, 80. Yeah.
80, 81. That's his rookie.
So, yeah, he came in the league 79, 80. Yes, 80, 81.
82, 83.
That one was, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing all of his basically Quebec Nordiques cards. And those are
a little run of those.
What's that?
I'm doing him and I'm picking up him and Peter Stastny as well. Those are the 2 guys I grew up, watching as a kid.
Perfect. Yeah. Hey, Stu here has a useful piece of info. He said, verified one of my tickets is pictured in PSA for the registry. Good. I'm glad to hear it. That's a good thing. I actually think across the board, anything they slab going forward, if they can take an image of it, I would recommend it. I think that would be wise. Go ahead, Eric.
There it is.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm doing, of course, OPG and tops. Mine as well. Why not?
You're going to have to get the Vachon.
I do have the Vachon.
See? He just likes saying Vachon because it's
I have Vachon and the craft one.
Oh, and the craft, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let me be the first one to do the catchphrase since everyone else is going to want to. So this is the last one of the pile, and I'll just say, "Oh yeah!"
Oh, well, there we go.
Oh yeah, some wrestling. There we go.
There you go. 88 potato chips, right? Or 87?
Hostess, yeah, 87 Hostess there.
Okay.
Savage and Elizabeth.
Munchie stickers.
Got it from TNT North. Look at you, Yannick.
Wow.
No idea who that is, but he's got a fancy seal, I guess.
That's centering on the back. It's a borderline miscut.
That's a 10.
Yeah, really, right?
Yikes. All right. Yeah, there you go. I don't know, but it's a cool item anyway. It's a cool item.
It is. I got more. I got Ted DiBiase.
Well, listen, based on what Eric's saying, you've got like 557 more.
You have more coming, or you have more at your house?
Yes,
both, yes. And all the above.
All the above, yeah. Okay,
I'm gonna bring the trailer, Eric. So
I'll have to stop putting this stuff out in the garage. I'm running out of room in here.
That's okay. We'll get rid of those bikes.
Yeah. Well, I think they're going to get someone else is going.
Kathy's going to cut them up anyway. So
what I understand,
she already called me. She traded them for some sod for your yard there. That's it.
So, all right, all bagged up so they're not scratched.
Thanks, butter.
You got it.
Where's the bag on the ticket? Yeah, exactly.
This came in a big Ziploc bag, so it is protected.
Yeah, I'm sure. Looking at how rough the thing is, and it is
the Ziploc bag before it went in the bag. That's the problem. Should have been in a bag.
That thing got shipped from the trailer park.
No doubt. It was holding up the one end because it wasn't even.
Yeah, that was the shim for one of the wheels.
That's it.
Anyway,
otherwise the grapes keep rolling off the freaking counter. So what are you gonna do?
So
there you go. All right.
Eric's had his reveal. Now it's time for my reveal.
It's not my reveal.
I have a reveal.
You got a reveal.
All right. The OPG company.
Yep.
Had these travel.
Oh, it's from Fragile.
travel boxes, I guess, for either the trucks or for employees. And you'd get a first aid kit from O-Pee-Chee
No way.
as a gift. And you know, came with all the fun stuff in there. Still full. There you go.
Safety first.
O-Pee-Chee.
I love it. That's awesome.
The good news is that you'll never have to use the bandage for the rough cuts.
That's
So
it.
that'll never cut you. So it's a pretty sweet deal.
How did you come across that?
I
What's
found
your
it in your backyard. It was buried underneath your grass.
Well, then give it back.
I want. Come get it.
Finders keepers.
But it's interesting. The box that it came in is very.
Yeah, the box even survived. It's pretty
Yeah, it's got a little handle on it and everything. You know.
fancy.
Anyways, something different.
Yeah,
But that's from the company. So
Plastic.
any company items
that's
you
a
get from
keeper, Bobby.
Tops or O-Pee-Chee, it's yeah.
That's a
And I
keeper.
got a crest, but I didn't get it in the mail, so I'll bring it next show. You know, it's funny. I bought the crest first, and then I bought that, and he shipped that one a day later. I get that, but I didn't get the crest. So regular mail sucks on a crest, and then you know when you use a package delivery, it comes the next day. It's like whatever.
Hey,
Canada
one
Post.
thing I've been
It's two things.
eating through. Sorry, Bobby. What's up?
No, go ahead.
Something I've been eating with lately on eBay, and I'm sure more of you guys probably seen this. You know, now because of the like, if you make your offer, basically it's gonna instantly, if the seller accept it, it's charged automatically to
I hate that. I just went
your
through
card,
that.
right? Well,
Yeah.
this week it's no biggie in a way, as in like most of the sellers will do it afterward because basically now the transaction's closed. But let's say, for instance, I make 3 offers, but shipping combined, I would save almost 10 US on the total. But because all of my 3 offers got accepted, transaction goes through, and then there's a little bit of until the seller, and which is probably a pain in the ass as the seller, because now you got to go back and refund it. So basically the 350 included the first card, and then it was 50 cents per other, but I got charged, sorry, it was 375, but now I got charged 3 times 375, and 48 hours later the seller has to come and refund me the difference.
I thought you were telling my story because that just happened. I bought 4 puck banks. I didn't pay for one because it was a counter offer that I countered back again. But when I made the offer, he accepted, and it's $10 shipping each. So I tell the guy, I said, hey, can you discount me on the shipping here? Because, you know, otherwise I'm going to cancel the transaction. I go to cancel the transaction. You can't. You have to call them. I went, what is with this thing? Because you've already paid. And then you got to wait.
Yeah, I was going to say you already paid. Yeah.
Are you
It's the
kidding?
whole like you agree now on, like, if they accept, boom, everything goes automatic. So I guess it's a kink they got to get used rid of.
I did talk to them on the phone, and they said, I'll cancel, but give it a try. You want these items? I said, yeah. I'll try to communicate with the guy. So what he says first to me, he goes, I got in trouble last time on eBay for doing that. I went, a refund? Really? I said, I've been doing eBay 25 years. There's nothing like that. You 37 user freaking dumb. Anyways, so a little back and forth, and then I told him where to go, how to do it, and it was rather easy, and then he refunded me $20. So he said, so it's $18.80 something for shipping for 4 puck banks, plastic, like a box this big. Anyways, he goes, well, it's $4.47 for shipping 1, so I'm going to multiply times 4. It's like, it doesn't work that way. So he's really going to be like $8 for shipping, collect, because it's in the US for the US. So anything like that would be very small. So it should be $10. But he's saying 18 because it's 447 times 4. It's like, oh God, that's fine. I don't care. I got a good deal anyway. So I just said,
All right.
So bottom line was, so what you're talking about, Yannick, and what Bobby's referring to is that's one of the hangups that some folks have with that whole
it's
site.
new too, though.
It is, but it's going to be one of the pains that they have to work through. My thought though about this is, I've had situations where somebody's bought multiple things from me within a day of each other.
Sure.
Because in the old days, in the old world, sometimes they will do that, but then this person would pay for one, and then a day later they'd buy a different thing and have it shipped off the first thing. And I would literally message him and go, well, do you want me to combine it? He goes, oh, can you? Yeah, fine, I'll take care of it.
Because then you can
So-
send them an invoice.
Exactly.
And
But I
then they
can't.
can- yeah.
But also, like, sometimes in a worst case scenario, in a pinch, like, refunding is not that difficult for me.
No,
because
but it's just
you push a
extra
button.
steps, right?
It is. But for me, so looking at it from a seller standpoint, the fact that the payment is taken right away and I don't have to wait 2 or 3 days for you to get around to making a payment. I had a rash for a while where I had two things happen. I would have folks that would pay, but they basically wait until the 11th hour, third day to finally get around to paying.
There is something in your listing you can click off, requires immediate payment.
You can, yes.
You can.
So you've got,
So there
you've
is
got
that.
one.
But
Yeah,
the
so you've
unfortunate
got-
part is they don't have a button that you can combine similar item or combine shipping. It's
Yes.
in there somewhere, but it's buried. And
They used to be a feature for it that worked better. The current version doesn't work very well.
No.
And by the way, that works for requesting too, because sometimes the request doesn't work either. But the other side of it as well is you'd have one where it doesn't require immediate payment. This is in the previous. You'd have the thing where you don't have immediate payment. The person would wait until the very last day, basically, before I could start pinging them for it.
before you
Or
put a
basically
claim
cancel
on
the
it.
transaction, or cancel the transaction.
Yeah.
Or the other person would literally bid. The whole time would go by, reminders, invoice, the whole thing. And 3 or 4 days later, it's like, all right, clearly it's not happening. So they would run you the whole time and you never got paid and you have to relist the damn thing. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
free relisting. Yes, but you wasted 7 days of an auction
Mhm.
plus another 3 or 4 days. And it's like, just pay the damn thing. If you want, if you bid on the thing, pay for the thing.
I understand they do it now because basically it's to prevent the old, like, I'm not gonna pay for it and I'm just basically gonna ghost you. But yeah, those little things I'm sure hopefully they'll work it out on, like, man, you
Yeah,
should
that-
be
the-
able to get the offers. The money somehow is spoken for, like almost like ComC, when you make an offer, that money is already taken out
Really?
of your account, but it's kind of just put a little limbo on the top corner until it's accepted or you cancel or something. Because now, basically, and the seller was all like, hey, I'm very sorry because I don't care. I emailed him and it took 3 days. And like he's got thousands of listings. So I'm guessing, of course, like he's loading up, packing up every day. And it wasn't a big deal. But I just 3 days later, today, I reminded him nicely, like, hey, by the way, did you have time to look at
Hey,
my
fuck that. Get the
hey, fucknut, get your fucking shit together. Let's go.
cancel. And like I said, I couldn't even like with the offer and everything, I couldn't cancel the transaction at all. It goes right in and goes. So you have no recourse and try to find eBay's phone number on top of it is another joke. But I did get through. And they speak to you like, oh, yes, Mr. Robert. Yes, we will. It's, just get with me. Come on, let's move through this a little bit faster. So much formality there. I was on the edge of cutting my wrist with one of Eric's knives. It was just.
Hey, listen, Bobby, all I'll say is, like, I can speak to work. Like, I'm actually I'm on the help desk side of things. Yeah, I'm on the help desk side of things. And sometimes when someone wants to ask something, this happens all the time. I'll get like the beginning, like, oh, hey, how are you? And this whole thing is like, and I'm sitting there like, I'm well. What can I do for you?
That's it.
Like, it's literally my role to be like, what do you need? What's the incident number? Give me the information, and we'll.
The faster in, the faster out, the better everybody
You
else
give me
is
the
done.
info, I can start looking into it for you quicker. I don't mind
You get
being
old
polite.
people who kind of go, "Oh, I haven't talked to anybody for 40 days." And they say, "Hey, yeah, well,
now is not the
passed
time.
away."
Now is not the time.
How's the weather?
Yeah.
It's
Let
the
me read a couple
weather.
of comments here. I'll get caught up. Sean says Upper Deck ePack Series 2 is cheaper than in store. He called it. So I went and checked just to take a look, and it looks like that is the case. I'll ping. I know Billy is busy right now. I think he's off with UFC Fight Week or whatever. He was. I'll ping him because that actually goes against their normal policy. They usually don't compete against their own dealers. So that's why I think it's very odd. I saw it was $229 US, $229.99 for a box on ePack US, which works out to about $310-ish Canadian, give or take. And I still see them in some places at like almost $400. Yes, Yannick.
I have a question, and
Go ahead.
I don't. Okay, what the fuck is an ePack? Like, how does that work? I hear you guys talking all the time. I'm kind of imagining what it is, but please explain it to me a little bit.
Okay,
Upper Deck
I'll give you the high
Yeah.
level short version.
Yeah.
The high level short version is it's an Upper Deck site where they sell digital versions of their trading card products, like Upper Deck Series 2. Two caveats. The base cards are fully digital. And I'll get to that back to that in a second. Inserts, parallels, everything that is not a base card has a physical equivalent that's been printed. All of them. Which means they actually will go and send them off to COMC because COMC is their fulfillment center. So when they're doing ePack, they will actually ship off all these cards. So, example, you pull a Connor Bedard Young Gun in ePack. The Young Gun, now I don't know if they made any exception for ePack for Young Guns since they are 1 in 5 packs or whatever. So they are ratioed. I assume they're also electronic, but here's the key. If you get enough copies of one of the electronic cards, the base cards, you can actually convert them into a parallel version of that base card. They've got like a silver version or whatever. So again, all parallels have a physical card. The ePack exclusive parallel that they created for that has an equivalent because there are guys that will go in there and buy cases in ePack, cases. And it's like opening real packs because the stuff you're getting in them, you're getting in the same ratio as you would in a physical box. But what happens though, and this is important, what happens though is because they make real copies of those other cards, you go and buy physical boxes. There are some inserts, even numbered ones, that are held back for ePack. So that's why certain cards are super tough to find.
Yeah.
And then ePack opens up and all of a sudden they all appear on COMC all at once. And the reason for that is because, Eric goes over there and buys 50 cases and pulls all the Connor Bedard outbursts that are all physical cards. Yes, and then all of a sudden they hit up on COMC, and he can also sell them on eBay through COMC. He can do eBay auctions as well. So all of a sudden those appear. They're all from ePack. So they didn't come out of a physical box.
Some of your Modanos you're chasing are ePack.
And that is why. So I'll tell you right now, I have a COMC order, and that reminds me, I'll talk about the COMC thing in a second. I have a COMC order that I just asked for last week that has a bunch of cards from SP Signature Legends, everybody's favorite. Yes. But when SP Signature Legends went to ePack, Yannick, a bunch of the Modano short printed autographs started showing up that were kind of in short supply for a long time. So they started appearing, and because the supply suddenly appeared more, they were actually cheaper. So I was able to get them a lot cheaper than the earlier copies that had sold because there were not suddenly more of them available. So as a result of that, I was able to buy them. They're at COMC. I go and have them shipped to me. I'm getting physical cards. So it's ePack, yes, but all those cards are physical. They all exist. So I'm going to get copies of all of those, but I'm getting them through COMC because that's where I was most easily able to buy them. Since if you do ePack, you can transfer it over to your COMC account whenever you want for free.
So it's kind of like almost a digital break.
It is. It is. So now the two upsides. From Upper Deck's perspective, they get to pocket more money because it's directly from them. They print the cards. They didn't have to make a box. They didn't have to make packs. All they had to do was produce the cards, give them over to COMC.
And real breaks, you don't get the base cards. You just chuck them out.
Except in this case, you can hang on to them if you want. And like I said, if you get multiples, you can convert it into the parallel. Because if you get 5 base cards, I think it's 5. You get 5 base cards on most of those products, you can turn it into the parallel version. So, for example, let's say you do the Young Gun. Let's say you do the Bedard, and you're one of those guys who open up cases and cases and cases. You get 5 of those Bedards. Again, I'm not sure about the Young Guns if they follow the exact, but if you turn it into that, you get a parallel version of that Young Gun that's actually a little tougher than the base. So guess what? Now that ePack is active, there's going to be some Connor Bedard ePack parallel versions that are going to start appearing up for auction. They're going to sell for a little bit more.
I can't wait for Reggie Lemelin ePack inserts.
It's going to be amazing.
I don't
it's
want
going to be amazing.
Crap.
Well, I think we're on something here. We got to work something out because
So, and Yannick, to give you a perfect example of this, so for the AEW, I talked about this before. I've opened ePack packs of the metal product. I pulled a 1-of-1 gold PMG in ePack, transferred it to COMC, and sold it for $700. But the person who has it on the other end has a physical card. So they bought it from me. They have a physical card. Now you can do whatever you want. It's a real card.
and Carlos gets real money.
and I get real money.
He likes
So-
the roof money.
So it worked
Carlos
out.
likes money.
Yes, he
Yeah,
does.
I'm a fan. Hey, listen, I'll give. We've had plenty of criticism of Comsey, and frankly, they've deserved it. But I'll tell you two things. From the last batch that I submitted at Expo, I was already in the black. This past week, I sold like another $50 worth of $2, $3, $4 cards, and I was like, "Great, awesome! Just add to the credit, keep stacking the credit, keep going,
lately too.
keep going." Yeah, because they're not expensive, and I think one person was like making all these offers, and they're like, "He just keeps accepting offers." Like, yeah, man, because I've got nothing into them at this point. Like, I'm in the black, like $1.50, sure, sounds great, I'll take it. Thank you.
Penny Reggie Lemelin.
Oh, no doubt.
I got a brand new Reggie Lemelin card, and I'm very happy
right.
about it.
That's right. Stukier says Dave Christian's brother stopped by the table at the show. He announced an Peach key.
Peach, you got some old wow, how do you say that? Peach key.
Peach key.
He's American. He doesn't know.
Zach says, I don't know if they do it now, but Probston used to combine shipping up to say 7 days. Yeah, but if that's your policy, that makes sense. Because if you're somebody like Probston, you got thousands of auctions. It doesn't make sense to invoice somebody every day. It makes more sense to give it a couple of days, because if somebody buys a couple of different lots, then you can invoice them on a batch of them at once, and then makes it easier for everybody to process. So you can do it, or at least you used to be able to do that pretty easily. It's gotten tougher because I don't like the way the combined ship works to these days now, but it's pretty good.
Because
Zach
Carlos' factoid would be Opeachy is the Ojibwe Indian name for Robin. There you go, guys.
Hashtag scholarship. Zach says I could bid on stuff every night throughout the week. They could combine shipping at the end of the week, which I think is a fair policy, especially if you're selling tons of stuff. It makes more sense to do it that way. Eric will always be in good standing in Canada. He's not in good standing anywhere, but I understand your premise.
No,
as much mail as processes for him.
And he's barely
Pack
standing.
guys probably have a problem with ePack. They do, but they don't have a choice. Upper Deck makes a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
How many Leaf dumbass parallel autos come in the mail this week, Eric? This one was not a Leaf one, though. This one was not a Leaf one.
No, this one I overpaid for. I'm ashamed of it, but it sat in my watch list on eBay for months, and I got them to come down a bunch of money, but I still overpaid for it. But I've never seen anything else like it, and so I finally pulled the trigger on it.
Whoa!
Still has a nice autograph.
And that's Panini private signings?
Yeah, is that a big deal?
No.
No, it's still red. But that would have been from the brief window, because Panini only had the hockey license briefly. So it would have been somewhere 2012, 2013, 2014, somewhere in that window.
Yeah.
It was
It
very
says-
brief.
They lost it after the strike or something, or before the strike, something like that.
I forget. Yeah, I forget.
2014
Is it 2011?
was the strike.
2011.
Yeah, so they
Okay.
had just before, and then
So that would have been, I think, their
lost
first
it.
year or thereabouts.
I think they had 2 years in there, right?
I thought it was 3, but
Maybe
I
3.
don't remember. Like it was like I said, it was brief. Either way, it was a very brief window when they had access to that license. They were able to get some nice products out in the brief time they had. In
like
retrospect, some of them are pretty nice, and they actually hold up quite well. People are appreciating them more now. But I think what's funny is, and this is the running joke, is that Panini became a disaster. Everybody hated them and everything. I think what helped the hockey situation is they had such a brief window. They didn't have time to screw it up.
No, true.
All they did, they got a chance to just come in, do a couple of products, try a couple of things. In retrospect, some of the stuff they tried was actually pretty interesting. Some of the cards are pretty nice and very collectible. And because they didn't overstay their welcome, they're actually remembered more fondly because they went away.
Yes. It was Upper Deck from then on. From there, yeah.
Yeah, they pretty much had it all themselves after that on their own. Yeah.
I remember when that happened. Yeah.
So that's where I think it's funny, is that a lot of people complain about that. And then today people complain about Upper Deck because they're the only one. And then because Upper Deck at this point has overstayed its welcome for it. They'll have some good ones, and they'll have some questionable ones, and a little bit of both. And unfortunately, everybody's in that same boat. But guess what? You switch it out to somebody else who'll be like, oh man, they're so much better. Talk to me in 3 or 4 years. Talk to me in 3 or 4 years. If they're still doing it in 3 or 4 years, let's see what happens.
Yes.
I don't care which manufacturer it is. We eventually learn to hate them all.
Yeah, exactly.
It only takes the amount of time. But since Paul mentioned it, though, talking about the Leaf, Listen, guys, I got to share. This is breaking news.
Oh.
I was distraught. Not only was I sick this past week, I had to deal with the mental anguish of finding out that the Reggie Lemelin Leprechaun card has been sold.
Oh no,
I can tell you, like, for the record, I can tell you, I did not buy it.
Suckers.
It was not I. It was not I. But
I was thinking
I might know where it is. I might know where it is, and it
Mm.
might just be hanging over the top of someone's head, like the sword of Damocles. Just gonna fall when the moment is right. Just
Yep.
straight down, taking him out.
You think your knives are sharp?
Mm-hmm. There ain't a sharp knife like a Reggie Leprechaun card falling on your head.
Nobody wants that card. That card
Honestly,
is
somebody does.
that card is poopy, and I don't like it.
Hey, listen, you've had an entire collection, Reggie. The poopiness hasn't been a problem for you before.
Nope. You live in poop.
By the
We'll
way-
talk about another bathroom joke. No, just kidding.
By the way, and I think you'll appreciate this, Eric. So this plays into the inadvertent but still appropriate pun. So for the dentist PC, in Allure, one of the parallels that they included in it is called Tooth and Nail.
How creative.
Yes, it's very much so. So I have the dentist Tooth and Nail.
Oh,
Oh,
cliche.
of course. I just wonder if they're like maybe someone got hit in the face with a chair and a tooth came out and they got like, like they got a really thick card with a little window and got the tooth rattling around in there or something.
Piece of wood with a nail in it or something would be
Yeah.
a little better. And
A cactus jack match or something,
Well, the thing is, you got to remember though, tooth and nail is a common phrase. Listen,
It is.
listen, I won't say like we know anybody at Upper Deck, but they do enjoy using their play on words. It is a thing. They're sitting there like, it's like, do I have to remind you about pitter patter? Do I have to remind you about like, let's go back through the Upper Deck products the
No,
last
let's
several
please
years,
not.
and you'll see, you'll
No.
find at least one where it's like, so why did you do that?
Because it's a sense
Teacher's
of
pet?
creativity.
How about teacher's pet? How about portrait?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but Eric, I'm not even talking about the concept. I'm talking about like the naming convention. They'll give it like pitter patter is literally a play off of what's the stupid cheese card? Cheddar, something cheddar. The name escapes me, but it's literally like this obscure
Oh,
term.
those
they
cheddar
tried to do.
cheese cards? Those
Yes,
triangular-
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. The cheddar. I think it's just the cheddar.
Yeah,
So
Well,
you think if that, listen, from the people that brought you the cheddar, tooth and nail is far lower on the egregious scale.
true.
Well, in 61, what was it? Chocolate Company, they had, what was it called? Hockey Patter. It was close.
What I'm saying, Bobby, all I can say is some of the ones they try to do, I can see it, but you're reaching. I can see it, but you're reaching. You do
You're
have
not
to
reaching
reach
very
out.
far, though. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, there's a nice thing. I'll use that on a card. Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. Fucking genius.
Well, listen,
Call Billy.
you'll know,
Call
you'll know
Billy
the
now.
fix is in.
All
You'll
Billy.
know the fix is in. Yeah, listen, you'll know the fix is in 2024, 2025 Upper Deck Series 1, where one of the main inserts is and that's it. Like the background is just
I gotta talk to Billy and see how much it's gonna cost me to make sure that there's Reggie cards in every set moving forward.
Does it count, Eric, if he follows my advice, does the lemon set? And much like the leprechaun, Reggie is behind every single one of the player about to pounce.
Yes.
Like a horror movie villain.
Oh my God.
Just throw it out there. Getting charity. Eric, are you
Give
trying to
him
grow a beard
time.
like Yannick? He kind of resets, so I don't know how to think he's doing right now.
Charity, I had a beard for 6 months. I shaved it last week and I just haven't shaved since. So you didn't notice I had a beard for 6 months? Like a real one?
She's not looking at you very closely.
Yeah, I mean,
It's white.
that's why I finally cut it off. I couldn't stand looking like Santa Claus. So I will, when I get around to it, I'll probably shave this one off too. I hate
There you go.
the fact that I got this white Santa Claus looking beard. I just don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question.
Hey,
I think this is a valid question from Tom. Tom, good evening. Tom, has the Gong Show called?
Oh, God, no.
The weekly
No.
segment of
No.
we should call Bobby. We should call. It's like
Have him on the
maybe
show
you
or
should.
something like that. Yeah. No, it's okay. It's fun. So when they call, then it'll be like, hell no.
Bobby, but I feel like that's what should happen now. Just because, listen, the only reason I brought it up and found it so amusing is that they mentioned it weekly, and I'm sitting there like, why is this a thing that you guys like literally go on there and send a message saying, "Hi, could you come on our show, please? Thank you."
I don't know.
It's not like it's that hard.
Maybe I'll unblock them. I don't know.
There you go. Exactly. But I think a lot of folks in the space don't realize that sometimes all you got to do, you'd be surprised how many people be like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
If you just ask, like a normal person, just say, hey, would you mind? Would you be interested in doing XYZ? Oh, whenabouts this time? Okay.
Yeah. You can probably get in that tournament. Whatever.
But a lot of times though, it's like, well, you could have just asked.
That's it.
A lot of them will now. Maybe some of them are busier than not. Maybe you got to accommodate the schedule. Sometimes it depends. But for a lot of folks in this hobby are shockingly accessible. I think people don't understand. Like a lot of them are shockingly accessible.
Right.
And they're not that big of a deal. So
no, it's not a big deal.
So don't be intimidated by that. You can always call me, but I won't give you my number. But anyways,
yeah. Especially if you're trying to sell something or get some, more name recognition, people have no problem jumping on a show, to kind of promote themselves or something that they're doing.
There's lots of that. Yeah.
All you gotta do is ask.
Yeah.
I mean, don't ask me because, well, nobody ever asks me, and I don't blame them.
You just show up and
your job is pretty much to stay in your cell and pay for the like button.
Right.
That's it.
But for Bobby, on the other hand, I'm surprised his phone is not ringing off the hook.
Oh, yeah. Nobody's got my number.
Oh, well, that's probably why then.
Yep.
Tommy says, I just saw one of the new players has a last name of Mayo.
Yes.
And the new England Patriots coach is also Mayo.
Boston's gonna get it, and it'll never end. Mayo got a hat trick last night, Eric.
Mayo.
I'm getting ready.
We may have to do when the season goes in, we may just have to do the Mayo report every week when there's something. It's like Mayo had a great performance this week.
Did you ever your operation at the Mayo Clinic?
It's just so many.
I don't like the direction this is going in.
In the appropriate
trend, man.
place.
It's a trend. Yep. No, Justin, I think we're okay. I like mentioning it because it amuses me that I'm sitting there like they clearly do so much research into this hobby. There's about the Kevin Bacon 7 degrees in this hobby. We're like 2.5 degrees for almost everybody. You can either directly connect with somebody or somebody who can directly connect in almost every instance. It's not that difficult to make a connection and be like, hey, would you mind doing
They're
whatever?
too busy looking at my book to go, oh, I forgot to message him again. Damn it.
Well, it's the same thing that happens whenever they start talking about the cup, and then it'll be like, well, can you just reach out to the guy from Upper Deck?
Yeah.
Who you reach out to have on the show semi-regular? You could just, if you got a question, you could just ask the Upper Deck guy.
He's been on twice. Come on.
Refer to him by his God-given name, Spicy Eye, and he'll come running.
Spicy Eye, he'd do anything for us.
Yeah, show Spicy Eye some love, and maybe he'll give you the info you seek.
And he doesn't take cash payments. He takes spicy Italian subs. Mm-hmm. And so if you're willing to pay in spicy Italian subs, you got him.
Now it all makes sense. Knew it.
There you go. Does make sense. They do need a bat signal. It is a fact. Masterclass Bobby is a matter of time. Well, at the rate they're going, no. I think it'll be like the running joke. It'll be like when Jimmy Kimmel would be like, we ran out of time, Matt Damon.
Yeah.
It'll just be like that thing where like just reference it for years and years and years and like never really have him on, except for like a handful of times for the gag. So I was like,
yes.
All right, guys, you do you, I guess. I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's the only funny thing he does, I think, is the Matt Damon jokes.
Well, they managed to drag that one out for years, though. It's been good. Matt Damon's played along with that very well, and they've made that into a long-running gag. But I think those kind of nightly talk shows, though, have run their course anyway. I don't think
I
they're
think
they're not that interesting. Like they're done.
not even that
It's
funny.
enough.
Well,
Yeah.
the problem is, and
They're too
I
political
think
too.
that's what I was going to say. They're too partisan, so half the country and doesn't want to watch. So it's like you can make jokes. Like last night, there's plenty of fodder to be made over the debate on both sides. So as long as you keep it down the middle, everyone will get a laugh. But it's too partisan, and people like half the country's like, nah, I'm not watching that crap. So it's supposed to be a comedy show. Make it funny. We don't do politics here because that's not what people are interested in.
I'm just going to quickly take a call. Give me 1 second.
Okay. So
that's
not, yeah. So that's not what people are interested in. All right. I mean, they're trying to get away from all that nonsense, for whatever time they spend.
Well,
with
now
us.
they can't say anything. There's nothing funny that they can get away with. So this is a real issue. And, comedians have a hard time. I think Seinfeld was on a stand-up and some guy was ragging him. It's like, yeah, just whatever, dude. Everybody's.
He has refused for the last 20 years to continue doing shows on college campuses.
Yeah.
Like and those are big money makers for comedians to come in and do a show at a major university.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
Comedians don't want to do it anymore because it's too difficult.
I get it. It does happen.
So,
it's the way of the world now. Enjoy.
I almost came on tonight with a bag over my head, being that I'm the US rep with U3 Canadians, and I was going to wear a bag over my head over the embarrassment of our presidential debates last night, and the two clowns we have running for office.
Hey, we put bags over our head that Maple Leaf Gardens. I don't know if you remember that in the 70s.
Yeah.
Pyramid power. We had bags over our heads, and stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's continuing. So we won't even discuss it, Eric.
Yeah, again, it's nonpartisan. They both suck, and it was embarrassing. And the rest of the world's watching and going, "This is what the United States has come to? These two morons?" Okay.
I love JFK's statement. He was a real powerful statement guy. He read some amazing stuff that he wrote to the country, and those are the times. See, that's the time I was born. No, it was before that because he died in 1963, I think, right? Slabstrong is going live with the sports card collector.
Yeah, there's a lot. Listen, there's a lot of Friday lives.
Drop down.
I needed to. That was
Everybody's
Carlos Senior giving me a call, so I needed to just answer the phone.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You guys managed to. You already did your debate breakdown. We're good. We covered it.
Yeah, they both suck, and it was embarrassing on all levels.
So everybody's like, ever since Hobby Palooza, now everybody's coming on Friday now. What we start? What happened?
Listen. There's some serious issues that need to be discussed. See, that was the problem with their whole thing. And my last word on the debate was, I know the debate was a waste of time because I know, sight unseen, that neither one of the candidates addressed the inappropriate use of Friday night live streams in the hobby, and that it must be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Right.
I can guarantee you neither one of the candidates addressed that, which means they're both wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Both wrong.
So everybody's going to go Friday night now. Now we're beat.
Yeah. Well, let's stop doing this crap then.
Okay. Oh no, Eric. No, that means we're going to war. That means we're going to start giving away. Even though they're live streams, they're basically so predictable at this point that we're going to give away the results of the other live streams, so you don't even have to watch them.
Oh, that's brilliant.
The surprising part is Friday's actually a really good night. It's sort of like for eBay auctions, or posting new stuff. A lot of people are around on Thursday and Friday nights. Saturday they get caught up with family and wherever they're going out. Sundays, we used to do the Sunday too, right? Because it was
right.
Yeah, there was nothing.
Sunday worked during that time period because it was kind of a captive audience. It was easier when basically everybody was at home. Summertime, it's trickier because people go out to the cottage or whatever.
Sure.
It gets quieter, so it's kind of a mixed bag. Look, jokes aside, part of the reason why none of that stuff ever bothers me, the reason why I joked with it, and I've talked with other folks about it, where they worry about, well, why are these live? Guess what, guys? Each one of them decides to do that. Yep, it splits the audience a little bit, but here's the truth: at the end of the day, each one is kind of doing their own thing. Like what we're doing here is pretty much we're hanging out here. Like tonight, not so much because I can't taste my beer, so it's kind of redundant. It's a waste of my time. Otherwise, I'd be having my beer right now, but I can't taste it, so it would annoy me to completely miss half the experience of enjoying my beer. But the point is, otherwise it's hang here, talk with the chat, talk with you guys, and do all that. But otherwise, it's like, no, if I just wanted to do that, okay. So here's a card, here's another card, here's another card, here's another card.
Ruth.
Here's another card. It gets a little boring for me. That's why, ironically, given the length of the live streams, I will show some cards here and there. Like obviously, I got a mail day, so I was able to grab some off the desk here. But
sure.
But most of the time, go back to the episodes. Most of the time, I'm not really spending a lot of time showing a lot of cards.
No, and the Hobby Palooza was really all card based. It was like, here, let me show you your collection. So what do you do for the next show? Because they're popping shit up like bang, bang, bang. Oh, I got this one. Oh yeah, I got this one, and I got this one. I got this one. And then how many shows can you do? How many cards you got? I guess.
Well, I guess it's a problem though. Like, how do you so being serious. So let me read this. Let me read this comment
serious,
first. I'll get caught up on the chat. But I want to touch on that because Bobby's making a fair point. Tom says, does anybody think else than Gum will be put back into packs even as a limited release? The only reason they would ever do it, because we had that with Topps Heritage. Do you guys remember Topps Heritage in the early 2000s? Yep. Because it was thematically appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
If Topps got back into the game in some way, the problem is that Upper Deck's got the license. So if we're talking hockey, if you did kind of a Topps Heritage product and there was enough interest in it, the problem is it adds a cost. How many people actually like the gum? Most of the time, the gum's kind of crummy.
Oh, even it's fresh, it sucks.
Well, I will tell you, the Topps Heritage, the two, I want to say it was 01, 02 maybe, or somewhere in that range. When they did that one in the early 2000s, they did it inside of a cellar wrap, a little cellar wrap. There. Yep. The gum was okay.
Was fine.
Especially if you got it at the time. Like if you get it at that time inside the little wrap, I thought it was decent.
Remember, it's only supposed to last until you go through the cards. And that's
basically what it did. Yeah, that's about how long it lasted.
But when I was a kid, it was good. It was good, and you would keep, you buy 3 or 4 packs. Boy, you had a wad of gum in your mouth, and it was pretty good.
That's kid standards. That's gross.
Yeah. What we know.
All right, so Dufex here says Jimmy Kimmel roasting Jay Leno and Jay Leno show after the Conan was 5 was epic. No, I'm going to say real quick, this was the last time the late night talk shows were actually funny. It was when Jay Leno took back the Tonight Show from Conan O'Brien, and Conan O'Brien was pissed off, and he was taking shots at Jay Leno every single night. And Jay Leno was sitting there trying to just. David Letterman was shooting barbs. Jimmy Kimmel was shooting barbs. Conan O'Brien was shooting barbs. Friggin' what's his name? Howard Stern was throwing grenades at him, and Jay Leno sitting there like, ah. And the problem is he deserved it. Like he deserved it for being shady the whole time. So that was hilarious. Legitimately, everybody across the board is like, Jay Leno is a fucking piece of crap.
Massachusetts.
Here's a grenade. He's a grenade.
A super millionaire from interviewing.
That was the last. Yeah. That was the last time it was very. That was the last time late night was funny because they all had a common enemy and they all directed their attention straight at Buddy over there, who had to keep smiling like an idiot. It was great, but that was years ago now. So like it's done. It's over.
Well, that's that's the cable TV show. So what are you going to do? Late night. Most people are into videos on YouTube or what have you. So
well, that's the thing about it. The reason why I think it is. Forget about even the comedy piece. The truth is, there's other formats now to get that. If you want comedy, there's other formats to get comedy. You want to hear interviews from musicians or actors or whatever. There's other formats to get that are better. So you don't need to be sitting there watching a regular TV show for a talk show. You don't need this. You can get this elsewhere. Better, faster, more directly, and get a better version of it instead of the contrived kind of like, and here's the band.
And you can control it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of gone past this point. Yeah, it's
the format. Itself. Johnny Carson basically perfected that format, and then everybody else just kept doing it, and it was the same format. And very little. The only one that I felt like did a good job, at least having a little bit more fun with it, was Craig Ferguson, because he did that later show. He had puppets. He had others. He had a talking robot sidekick. Like
Yeah.
they were able to have a little bit more fun with it because he was in the later section and he didn't have to take it seriously. So he was able to have a little more fun with it comparatively to the other guys.
What was that show with Ed the Sock?
I think it was at the end of the Sock Show.
No, he was on a talk show kind of ish.
He had an Ed the Sock Show. Like he had a late night.
Before that,
show.
it was something before he became famous. I forget what it was.
Couldn't tell
Oh,
you.
okay. Yeah, but I remember he had a late night show. Like he actually had an Ed the Sock Show.
Yeah, it was actually like it was like The Simpsons. You know, they weren't popular until Tracy Ullman put them on, and then they, you know, and same thing with Ed the Sock. He didn't just come out of the gate. He was kind of in there, and then everyone really took to him because he was he's funny. Now that's good old comedy. You know, you play in Living Color and all that other stuff with Jim Carrey. You know, those things are great.
Yeah.
So I think with a lot of that stuff, you could pretty much just go back then and you just watch those, and then I think you'll probably be better off. So I think honestly, you'll go with it. So Carlos leaves for 1 minute. Just political. I blame Eric.
Go ahead. That's fine.
Let's see here. Sunday's a depressing day because we all have to work the next day. Terrible, Justin. Just terrible.
Not this one. No, we get a holiday Monday.
It's true.
So
That says being bummed out. Canada Day.
Canada Day.
Yeah.
July the 1st is literally Monday. It works out pretty clearly.
Perfect.
Yeah. We were so nice that we even let you guys have a day 3 days later, just for fun. You know what? You guys should have something too. You guys should have something too. Here you go.
Sorry.
Here you go.
Sorry that you don't have a day. We'll give you one. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. You're
And
welcome.
we'll make it on my birthday, too.
You're welcome. Zach says being bummed out about the increase in competition on Friday nights is no excuse not to like button. Facts.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
No excuse whatsoever. And how do you even find those other shows? Nobody knows.
Went to Letterman back in 04. They trained us how and when to applaud, then marched us down the street to the studio for the show. Fun to do once. Yeah. They had there's a whole process. There's a whole thing to that. The way the shows are, like I said, the shows were formatted and regimented, which was fine for a time. Again, I'm using the Carson example because that was like the apex of that format of show, because he had mastered it. He knew exactly how his audience could react to it. He knew how to play the whole bit. But then, and Letterman was old school in that regard. He was basically a disciple of Letterman, so a disciple of Carson. So like there was an extension there, and Conan tried to do his own thing and everything. But the thing is, like, the era ran out. Like it's past. We don't need that format of show. There's other stuff you can have on it. That look, I barely watch
James
television.
Corgan, he changed it a little bit, but then it was still, you know, a little revival, and then he left. I don't know why he left so abruptly. I don't know.
Oh, everybody hated Corgan. like people legitimately hate.
Well, he's from England. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah, he's made a lot of enemies. A lot of enemies in the space, in outside, even in the celebrity
But
circles.
he did those funny car rides with the stars.
Is the carpool karaoke? Yeah,
that was good.
So, and to his credit, I'll give him credit for this. It was at least a different idea.
It was.
Carpool karaoke is at least all right. At least you have your own segment that you came up with that isn't just the same as everybody else's.
And famous people.
He stole that. He stole the idea of it from Jerry Seinfeld when he was doing Cars and Coffee or something, and he had celebrities drive around with him and, you know, talking cars together. And then, so I think Jerry Seinfeld was doing something like that. I remember even Seinfeld had Obama once join him.
Yeah.
It was like an interview segment while you're driving around in a car.
Yeah, and next thing you know, this guy's like, "Hey, driving around in the car. Oh, wait a minute, I'm a singer. I do, you know, plays and musicals.
Not much of a singer, anyways.
So,
yeah,
I mean, it was a good thing. I just think he probably borrowed the idea of doing something in the car from Jerry Seinfeld. That's all.
Probably
borrowing
plagiarism
is a traditional trope. Is a traditional trope.
But, you know, someone said something about, you know, the competition on Friday nights. Well, we have something here that no other show has.
Fake hockey players from the Bruins.
Other than that, we have...
so you admit it's fake.
This.
Yes.
The 3 Bs.
The Beckett Book of Bullshit.
Oh, true.
Eric, this is your opportunity. You could have literally aligned it so the three B's lined up. That would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Did we finalize number 8?
The
No,
BBOB.
No,
Cardi.
on the rules we
Carlos,
did not.
Do
Nope.
we have a new entry to the Beckett Book of Bullshit this week?
Oh, I think we almost had two because I tried to
Please,
share one
Eric.
with you and it got cut off. But there was one for sure.
Hmm.
Let's see if I can find it.
I'm getting out the pen.
Did we finalize 8, or did you pencil?
So this is
something?
so we're talking two things. So first we're talking the Beckett BS book, Eric's thing. We'll do that first, and then we'll revisit the number 8. We'll come back to it. But I don't think we did. I don't think we came up
Yeah,
with the wording.
it is
We had
not
the premise, but we have not settled on the wording.
Okay, we need to finalize that. Otherwise,
so.
we can't move forward.
As a people, this is true. Carlisle, good evening. I went to see Letterman as well. I think it was circa 93, old studio. All I remember is it was very cold. I think he interviewed Dan Rather. In 1993, Letterman would have been closer to the peak of his powers because he still had some energy at that point. And you could tell at the end, like he's just going through the motions. He's like, I'm getting paid too much money to quit this job. I'm just making so much money. So
Now-
much money.
It's got a huge. Oh yeah. Well, look at Leno. How much he made. Guy's got a freaking car museum. Like,
The thing is, it's
Yeah,
not
that's
even like
pretty
it's not even at that point like he needed the money. He goes, but you just imagine it's like I'm tired of doing this. I don't feel like doing it anymore. How about $30 million?
okay.
Fine, fine.
Fine.
I guess. I suppose. Clint Black was the music. All right, thank you, Stu. I like the name of the book. No chance Eric came up with that on his own. Eric had to workshop that for days.
What was that?
Days.
War and Peace.
No, the Beckett Book of Bullshit.
I know.
All right, so here is, let me pull this up from the Instagrams. So I believe this is the one that you were referring to. There's a couple probably, but let's do
This
this one.
is definitely the one.
Okay, so here you have yourself a 2001-2002 Upper Deck Premier Collection jersey card of Gordie Howe. All right,
Mhm.
that in of itself, fine, whatever. Great, not really a concern. That's fine. The concern is the little gold box there underneath at the bottom. The gold box is for an autograph grade. Problem: there is no autograph.
Carlos, where's the autograph?
The funny part is, it looks. Did it get a 10 on the auto?
Yes.
You got a 10 on the autograph that doesn't exist. Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Now,
Case-
I will share one other key piece with you because unfortunately this image is a little bit blurry. But in the spirit of hashtag scholarship, I was able to figure out what the serial number was on the slab. And in determining what the serial number is on the slab, I was able to find it in the Beckett Pop Report, which basically took me days. So appreciate the hashtag scholarship here because the Beckett website is trash. So getting anything looked up is very difficult. It is a challenge. However, I was able to look that up. And here is what comes up if you put in that particular serial number. Here it is. 2001-2002 DUD Premier jerseys, Gordie Howe. So we can confirm that matches up. This was graded in 2005, it says here,
Wow.
according to this. So we've got the date it was graded. And I checked the subgrades and they all match up, except for the autograph grade here, which says not available,
What?
which means the Pop Report acknowledges there is no autograph.
No.
But the slab has the little gold piece that suggests there is a 10 auto.
Minimum wage. What do you want, right?
Yeah. So you've got a situation here where you've got a slab that is saying one thing, and the lookup here gives you the information, but it's stating that there is no autograph grade. So it is a 10 autograph that doesn't exist.
There you go.
Beckett, the leader and most trusted name in grading and stuff.
Yes.
And stuff.
And again,
And-
this was done in 2005.
This was
Now-
Tuesday, August the 23rd, 2005.
We could, so a defender could be like, hey, that was a long time ago. Things are a lot different now. No,
No, they weren't different.
this just shows that this company has been in the toilet for almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
The gold standard.
There
This
you go.
is not
Oh.
new. What
Eric stands behind this.
what we are seeing on a weekly basis from this company is not new. Let's just pretend this was their very first mistake. Almost 19 years ago, okay? they have done very little to improve their company in 19 years. They are still making the same type of bullshit errors that get them in the Beckett book of bullshit. And so you could easily, like, again, a defender could be like, well, it was a long time ago and things. Nothing has changed. They were crap 20 years ago. They're crap now. They have changed owners. They've changed CEOs. They've changed graders. They've changed PR people. They've changed, and it's still garbage. I don't know what is going on over there that for 20 years, their product is still trash. The company is a dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it just hasn't changed in 20. You'd think 20 years, there'd be enough changeover. There'd be enough going on in a company that would fix this type of stuff. But we'll be here next week adding more stuff to the book that happened recently. It just continues to blow my mind how this company is still in existence when they've been doing this stuff for 20-something years plus. And they're still
my
getting
favorite part is
thousands of cards a month to get graded by the simpletons.
50,000, Eric, 50,000.
How much
Yeah,
sleep do you lose over this, Eric?
Yeah.
Oh, he hasn't slept in years. Very important point of order, though. Bobby, you'll appreciate this. I wanted to look it up because since we had the date for that particular card being graded, that added a little extra flavor to it. And if you want to be the ultimate Beckett defender, Eric, here's a quick trivia question. When did the deal from Jimbo Beckett end his reign atop Beckett itself? When did he actually sell off the company? Remember, this is 2 sales ago. So when did Jimbo personally sell off Beckett so he was no longer technically responsible?
Wasn't it 06?
No, it's 03.
1 year sooner.
05?
Mm-hmm. In January 2005, Beckett offloaded the company to Apprise Media. So you could say, oh man, I sold in January. By August, disaster.
Oh, yes. Continue.
Downhill.
But the problem is but there is a small problem with that, because if you do listen to his podcast, Jimbo did sell it off, but he did kind of hang around for a little bit to transition.
As an advisor, right?
Yeah, he was at least, it's not like you sold it and then the very next day you cleared the office. So there is usually a little transition period where you kind of like, all right, we're going to start offloading and we'll change it over, and here are the keys and here's all the stuff you need to get it going. And if you need me, I'll be in my office for a bit and whatever. So it wasn't like it happened overnight, but how interesting. The timing is very, very close.
Yes.
It just continues to dumbfound me how this company still exists. I just don't understand any other company. If every third hamburger at McDonald's had a piece of glass in it, how long do you think the company would be in business?
Keep going.
Well, until you made a cup, probably.
Yeah. Right?
Like, Eric, if you find anything out your chocolate stick, let's say a piece of glass, you'll still eat it the next day.
That's different. It's chocolate sticks. You're talking nonsense.
Oh,
that's different. That's different.
Interesting. Carlos says they should be called the artist formerly known as Beckett, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
I would share Kamikaze's comment, but I actually don't know what it means.
I have no idea.
What did he
I
say?
literally have nothing. So I'm just going to leave it be. Good on you. You're on your own.
Yeah. All right.
But I thought that was interesting. So yes, we did have a new piece to add to the legend of the Beckett Company as it continues.
And again, this is only since May 31st. So we have 3 entries. We could go back and fill this entire binder up here, this notebook up tonight, if we wanted to. But this is just from May 31st.
Oh, I was saying rule number 8, not Beckett. Beckett, we're only at 4, right? Because
Right.
we added to our rules the other day. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So we have right. So our rules
my mistake.
are in here. I gotta clean this drawer out. This is a mess. But
What can you have in there other than knives?
I don't think I have any knives in here. I might.
That drawer has the evidence.
Mm,
There could be knives in here. I'm not.
Pupipone is probably there.
Jimmy
I
Hawk.
found there's some business cards in here, like that one.
I don't know.
Look at that.
Put my phone number out there. Why don't you? Jesus.
I know.
Actually,
What the heck?
I put my finger over it, but it is
Oh,
your
now you
business
did. Look, see, I did put my finger over it the second.
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
Wait a minute, hold on. Is this one different? Because I got a second one too. So
Mm.
One's signed on the back and graded 10.
Those are getting rare now.
They're
yeah,
getting rare. All right. So Kamikaze clarified a little bit. So then I definitely don't know what you're talking about. I doubly don't know what you're talking about.
A Tripoli.
no idea what's happening.
There you go. Carlon says, can you call that number collect anymore?
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
I think that's fair. So I was going to say, so yes. So we covered that, got that in there. Can you refresh my memory, Eric? I know we were working on the wording of
Yes.
rule number 8. So what was the concept? What were we trying to figure out? What were we workshopping?
We were talking about not doing business with Beckett, and Beckett
Oh, so thematically this works, actually. This is a good
Yeah.
offshoot of what we were just
just
talking
right.
about.
So we had things such as thou shalt not covet a Beckett slab.
Mhm.
Thou shalt not Beckett. Beckett is banished, and Beckett equals the shit emoji.
Mm.
Is there a
I-
cutoff line?
I feel the emoji is beneath us. This is a critical work. We
Mhm.
we cannot lean on emojis. We have to be thinking.
Okay, I will cross out Beckett equals shit emoji.
Yeah, no, we got it. The emoji's not good enough. I feel like the biblical theme of thou shalt not Beckett.
Mm.
We've had a couple of those. It's simple, to the point, and it covers a lot of ground. It pretty much we don't have to worry about grading, the periodicals, the website, like pretty much we're covered.
Does that
Very good
apply
step
to
forward.
every single Beckett slab ever made, or there's
Pretty
a cutoff?
much.
There's like a date cutoff that Beckett wasn't.
I think
sold
only
out,
only the ones that
Real
exist,
cool.
Yannick. I think to make it easy, we should just go with the ones that exist
Oh, I gotta do that.
forever and henceforth.
That makes it easy.
So, does the chat have any ideas? Do you have what do you guys think about that? What's we have some opinions tonight?
yeah, we need a synced way of conveying that Beckett no. Just
Beckett
no.
mad.
Just no.
Or cares?
So we need to think about it. Carlos here says, "What should be the because I'm Carlos emoji?" Well, I think it'd be the. I think you could just have the. You could literally have somebody doing the pose. Yeah, you could have the pose because you got the silhouette in the corner. You could just have a pose. The logo basically is almost an emoji at that point. So, but you could literally just have somebody doing the pose. It would probably work. You could even have a silhouette of the pose, and that would probably work as well. So that'd be a good way. So we'll leave it open if anybody has any thoughts or suggestions on that. There was something else I wanted to touch on since we talked about it a little earlier tonight. Yannick had that Macho Man card, the hostess one. So I was following, and I'll talk about this for a minute, and then we can branch off to anything else we want to talk about. But I was watching. I'd seen that there was a series called "Who Killed WCW." What I thought was interesting about it, and it was a 4-part series made by Vice, the same guys who do Dark Side
I
of the Ring.
saw that. I didn't click on
Yeah.
it, though, but I
Yeah,
will.
so there's a 4-part series. It's the same folks, I believe, that do Dark Side of the Ring, or at least a similar group.
Okay.
There you go, Carlisle. Hey, there you go. You got the point. So that's pointing in the right direction. You're thinking in the right direction. As for an emoji, I think it's a valid one.
We need a little
But anyway.
sunglasses dude with the little.
Maybe. So so anyway, I watched it. It was interesting because I'm interested in that stuff because I watched the whole thing break down in real time when it happened back in 01. And I enjoyed it for what it was because they gave a little background on it and everything. It was good. So the last episode though was interesting because they had some behind the scenes footage of the last Monday Nitro. When Shane McMahon came in and, WWE was taking it over, and then everybody was blaming each other. They were doing the Spider-Man meme. It's your fault that WCW died. It's your fault that WCW. We got a David Arquette, appearance in there. Yes, we had to talk about that critical moment in history. That's a good one. So I think that was good. I think it was a lot of fun though, hearing kind of the different versions of it, but it led me down the rabbit hole. So I watched it and I thought it was good, but Crave TV is the streaming service here that has those. So I basically turned it on for a month so I could finish watching that. And then I started watching the rest of the Dark Side of the Ring. And based on that Macho Man and Elizabeth, one that I would recommend to you, if for some reason you haven't watched it, for season 5, one of them is Sensational Sherry. So speaking of managers, iconic managers, that was a very interesting one. Very sad story, unfortunately, on a couple of levels, as a lot of them are, but fascinating.
Most of that series.
Yeah. Was that?
Most of that series, actually, it's mostly sad stories. But
Dark Side of the Ring, right? Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah, I mean, of course. But yeah, I watched the whole thing. It's pretty. The one about Luna Vachon too is pretty.
Yeah, that was another one. But Sensational Sherry, I thought had a very interesting story. A very interesting story with the way it worked out and kind of a little different things. And you got to meet her son, who I thought acquitted himself very well. It's very sad, unfortunately, for him as well, for a multitude of reasons. But a fascinating story. And the other one that I thought was kind of interesting, more into kind of but interesting, Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Yeah.
My dude is entertaining. I'll give him this. My dude is entertaining. I was entertained by it. But denial is not just a river in Egypt. the man lives in a constant state of denial and delusion. It's incredible. It is sensational. Literally 3/4 of the documentary is like, so basically he got everything he got basically because of Hogan. Yeah, he made a career. It's like, well, you're not wrong, but he has convinced himself that the run in WCW he had, where he had like 47 gimmicks, he thinks he hit them all out of the park. I'm like, no, you don't get 47 gimmicks if they're working.
At the time, I did not know that was him. When he came back all roided out and had the beard and the sunglasses.
Yeah, the disciple.
And was just jacked.
Yeah.
I mean, someone just hammered out and hammer and chiseled him. And
to his credit, though, he went out of his way to give a completely different look. And he worked his ass off. Like, steroids or not, you still have to do the work in the gym anyway.
Yeah.
And he actually shrunk. Like, he actually lost weight. He leaned out to get the look that he was going for. And he was in his mid-40s at the time. So he was in great shape for what he was doing there. The problem is he was never a particularly good wrestler. He had his one gimmick that worked. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. That was the one gimmick that worked. To this day, he still gets the... to this day, he gets to work that one gimmick whenever he does signings and whatever. Everybody wants you to be Brutus the Barber Beefcake. But at WCW, he came in, he was Zodiac, he was the Booty Man, he was the disciple. That's a real, by the way, Bobby, the Booty Man's finish, high knee.
Really?
It was a high knee. So
yeah,
it literally was. It's atrocious. Absolutely all atrocious. It's all garbage. He was the man with no name. He was the man with no name. I'm like, in other words, you have no ideas. None.
So, is there a light side of the ring as opposed to the dark side? I think it's all dark side. It's like everybody's story ends kind of sad.
Professional wrestling is mostly a story of, look, it's carny bullshit. Professional wrestling, the best way to put it is it's carny bullshit most of the time. It really is.
Drugs, sex, and death. That's what the history.
Yeah, there are a handful. There are always going to be a handful of folks that understood why they were in it, and if you really understood why you were in it, and you understood what you wanted to get out of it, and then as soon as you got that, you walked away. The problem is the amount of people that manage that in the wrestling business we could count on one hand. Most of them, like the handful that did that, probably like, oh, it was a great experience for me. Yeah, because you got what you needed out of it. You made money or you did whatever you needed to do. And then you got out when the getting was good.
Mm-hmm.
And okay. So for them, it's the light side of the ring. They did well. But almost everybody else, injuries. The thing with Sensational Sherry I don't not to spoil the episode, but the reality she fell into the same trap as a lot of folks. She had a series of injuries and got addicted to painkillers, basically, and drugs. And the problem, and the sad part is, she was extremely talented, like in multiple levels of that business. But it was a bad start to her story, and then she had her apex where her talents were actually taking her somewhere. She did a lot, but she made a lot of sacrifices along the way. But in the end, she literally, they allege in the thing that there was a last potential run before she passed away, before she overdosed at the end. But there was a possibility there that she was going to get a back surgery that she needed, that she had been taking the medication to offset the pain of. Eric can speak to it. If your back's no good, it's not a good time. Well, if your back's no good for the better part of a decade plus, and you've been popping pills the whole time to basically function, eventually it's not going to work out for you. Eventually it'll be a bad scene in the end.
There's another twist to those stories too, as in she's one of the fabulous Moolah's girl trained by.
But she was one of the ones that got out. But the thing is, she was one of the ones that got out. And the fabulous Moolah is a whole other problem to the point that she's been blacklisted. She has been banished. So the point is, wrestling is carny bullshit surrounded by a lot of people that are broken in different ways. Most people that end up in that business are not well-settled individuals. And you're surrounded by other not well-settled individuals. Basically, it's a whole series of not swell fellas and not swell ladies. As far as the eye can see, what do you think's going to happen?
It's like a self-run orphanage.
And it's not a good scene. It's not a good scene.
No.
So let's see here. They forgot to mention WB had the right of first refusal to buy WCW with the Scott Hall settlement. Yeah, I think I recall something vaguely about that. Paul C says, "Good evening, all," and wait for it, Eric.
That's right. Paul. I'm glad you're here. I got something for you. Hold on a second.
He found it.
Wow.
Does it come in other colors?
Maybe. Works out. But yes. So I would recommend, though, if you are interested, a couple of the ones in season 5 I thought were interesting. I thought a couple of ones in season 5 were pretty interesting. And now that I had a chance, I'm going to watch the rest of them and get caught up on the ones that I
caught season 5 yet. I'll check it out.
It's a good one. Sensational Sherry I thought was really good, and Bruce the Barber Beefcake is interesting. Again, he is delusional, but they do interview other people that are interesting.
The fact that he had his head ripped off his body in that paragliding accident, that might why he's a little delusional. The young lady is now with is a little delusional.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I got to be honest with you, Eric. Dark Side of the Ring or not, it might not be the perfect or happy ending, but I actually feel that Brutus the Barber Beefcake is in an okay place, all things considered. It's like, you know what? Could have been worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a lady who likes you. You're there. Like, at least somebody cares about you. At least somebody cares about you.
Defends you to the hilt.
The fans still care. They want you to sign.
Yeah, you can go to signings and people still like you to take some pictures and some autographs. So you can make some money if you need to. Yeah.
Hey, you're above the age of 50 as a wrestler and you're still alive. That's like,
and still
pretty rare.
I would consider him on the top 5% of guys from that era in terms of where he's at right now. Like, it could be worse. Like,
yeah, you could be
Hogan.
And just was all over the internet because he threw a drunken fit at a restaurant and had to be like escorted out. I mean, that guy's a complete disaster. So he's doing better than Ric Flair is.
Yeah. So I think all things
we
considered,
almost had that on Montana's. Anyway,
that was a different issue. But look, all things considered, I would say if you're doing like a power ranking of 80s wrestlers that had steroids and drugs and everything going on, like I would consider him in the top half of that. He's far better than average than a lot of those guys where he's at right now, comparatively to some of those other dudes. So could be worse.
Hey,
I'm grading on a curve.
It's Reverend Ted DiBiase,
That's right.
Is it really?
Yeah.
He's been down that. Look, again, all of those guys have, and Ted DiBiase is one of my favorites, but he's had his issues too. All of them have had their issues. All of them. Nobody is immune. Stu says Vern Gagne didn't age well. No, a lot of those guys and ladies aged horrifically and
God,
a lot of bad things.
We're scheduled. We're working it out because he hasn't been around he hasn't come to the shop and done a show with us for many years. But we're supposed to be having Mick Foley come in.
Yeah, you said.
So I don't know where that stands right now. I haven't been to work in 3 weeks.
We need to raise some money for charity. Let's do it that way. But we get.
Hey, listen, charity's money is your responsibility, not mine.
Right.
Okay? If charity needs some extra money, that's between you and her. I don't
all
think...
the money you guys give to charity, you know it comes in my fucking wallet, right?
That's right.
It's not on Saturday, 2 days of whatever the hell that thing's called.
I know.
It
It's
all
direct
went
deposit.
to his house.
It's
Mhm.
direct deposited already.
All the Palooza, all that money, boom.
No, I want basically Rick Foley, whatever it costs to break a chair on your head.
He'd do it for Klondike Bar. I don't think it'd be. He just takes one look at him. It's like, I'll take care of this.
Like, let's do a whole money raising thing for on YouTube on how much can we raise to have a chair broken on Eric's head, smashed.
Yeah.
I think it would be a
All right,
yeah. So
here-
38th anniversary coming up there. So is Nick Foley coming by for that too?
38th anniversary for the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Thanks
I don't
for
pay
letting me
attention to
know.
that. I know that.
I feel like the 38th year anniversary is a bit of an. It's like you're so close to 40. Like you're close, but you're not quite there.
You
yet.
got to count everyone because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow.
Well, it's true. A card shop that still exists after 38 years, I guess that would be worthy. Dare I say, ice cream cake worthy?
Yes, very much so.
Dare I say?
That's what it is.
Phil's birthday's tomorrow. I got to make sure I reach out to him.
There you go. All right, Dave here has a comment. Did you touch on PSA's announcement about card cleaning? We did not, but I'll talk about it here in a second. I thought of my old friend Dick Tao and him laughing for his grave. So the reason I didn't touch on it is it's a nothing burger. They added basically a sentence to their thing about cleaning. So Dave here is saying, as if PSA will be able to catch alteration by the best, they don't need to. Doesn't matter. The reason I'm saying it's a nothing burger is they could literally say, like, card cleaning punishable by death. Sure.
Okay.
The analogy I used with I don't think I did it here, but the analogy I would use with the guys that I mentioned is, I think I mentioned it with you, Eric, and Brandon when we were just talking about it. I said it's basically like a stretch of road and you put a speed limit sign there. You just said, like, here's the speed limit, and the speed limit is the speed limit. Whatever.
How many
But
tickets can you afford?
it's not even that, Yannick. I'll put the sign down with the speed limit. Hell, I can put 10 signs with the speed limit down. By the way, there's no radar gun and nobody's around to enforce. But I put a sign, but look, I put the sign. The sign shows the speed limit. So make sure you follow the speed limit. It's like, is there a radar gun? Nope. Is there any cops nearby if I pass the speed limit? Nope. We're not going to catch you in any way, shape, or form.
It is the
But
Autobahn.
I put the sign down. But I put the sign, so if you guys don't follow, you're like breaking the rules.
Yeah.
No one will be going after you, but you broke the rules, and that's bad.
It is.
So anyway, bottom line is like, no, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. It changed nothing. So, but I also don't blame PSA for doing it because they're like, okay, look, we're just going to put it in writing that we don't agree with this. Whether we catch it or not is irrelevant. But
Can't say it wasn't written. Yeah.
we'll put it in writing. We are not okay with this. Please don't do it. That's it.
That'll work.
Yeah, that's all they can do. That's all they can do. The reality is, if they had caught it before, they would have put the little thing on there and said alteration anyway before they even wrote it. So it changed nothing. It made no difference. So great.
I think they put a sense of confidence out there for the people who are not so confident.
Yeah. Anybody who's concerned about what that policy said, like it's not even worth more than the discussion. Basically, I just outlined what it was. We put a speed limit sign down and waved our finger and said, don't pass the speed limit, and then walked away. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why it wasn't much more than that. It wasn't worthy of more discussion.
I'm not
Ben Von Raschke lives a mile from me. He did an autograph signing last summer. He used to be a substitute teacher in town. Interesting.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Mick Foley is cool. I watched a YouTube pod of him on the cage match. Yes, the Hell in the Cell. Yep, an infamous match. Carlos could donate some of the like button money, maybe. It's a lot of like button money, though. Could be more, though. Just saying. More like button money? Remember the WWF commercial from the 90s pay-per-views? Talk about nostalgia. Truth. Let's see here. It's fair. Yeah, I see Bobby there. So once his video comes back on, I'll bring him back. But yeah,
there is a great series on YouTube about the golden era of WWF. It's like a 4-part. Each part is 2 hours, and it's just right on the money with everything. Actually, there's few things I didn't even know, I guess, because looking at it now with the adult eyes, then back then you were the kid just seeing that, right? So, but it's pretty good. The golden era of WWF.
I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I'm a little bit older than you guys, as we've always mentioned, and I got a chance to see all that stuff, you know, as it was going on, and be able to remember it and take it all in because of my age. And it was, you know, when WrestleMania 1 came and Mr. T was involved, and Cyndi Lauper, and I mean, it was crazy.
Come on, you had Liberace.
Yeah, Liberace was there. He was.
Muhammad Ali was refereeing.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal, and it really blew everything up. And
I was a WWF kid, and basically, not that I don't care about wrestling, but to me, wrestling ended it pretty much around mid-90s. So the WCW era, I'm not even into that. WWF, pretty much, that's all it was for me, anyway.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun back then, and there was still a time. I grew up there was still a time where more than half the people watching believed it was real because of kayfabe. And remember, there was no internet, there was no podcasts, there was no, you know, there was no inside story. You had like a couple of wrestling magazines that tried to make you believe that all this stuff was real. They weren't trying to, you know, bring light to it.
I love those 70s ones with all the blood. And those are awesome.
Yeah.
It is true. It is true. But look,
Valentine and
they were, yeah. Look, it is true, Eric. But I'm going to say, just being a kid who grew up, because when I started watching was right at the end of the Hogan run, the first Hogan run there, because basically 91 was basically when I started watching, because Hogan still had a little time left. Undertaker debuted in 91. So you had that whole big gimmick, and you had a bunch of other gimmicks in the early 90s there.
Your prime time Ultimate Warrior-ish, right? And then on the decline. And
yeah. So I started watching around then, and then basically from there, Macho Man had his second run with the title there in 92, his feud with Ric Flair and all of it. Now the thing is, I enjoyed it, but the problem is, the problem is that even as a kid, I wasn't too worried about the real or not real thing. It's like, well, you'd go to jail for assault.
Yeah.
Like immediately. Like you're on camera. It's like professional wrestling doesn't have this weird thing. There are police officers right there. They're literally just standing there watching you do it. Like, go ahead, try it. try it on the street, wherever you want. Like, so even if it wasn't explicitly like whatever, it's like, but the police officer would literally have you in handcuffs right now.
Well,
so for me, it's like before any of that stuff, it was like I'm just looking at it, it's like, yeah, they're not doing shit.
I'm about to say the exact same thing as Bobby, I think. So go ahead.
No, it's just hockey games did the same thing.
Yeah,
lots of police there, lots of fights on the ice.
So nobody hit anybody with a steel chair in the hockey game, Bobby.
No, they hit him with hockey
sticks. Boston Bruins, they went into the stands like
they did, but those seats are still bolted to the ground. Are still bolted to the thing.
So growing up,
skates on.
You know, I started watching and remembering and taking hockey in the 80s, right? I mean, I know I was watching it with my dad in the 70s, but I don't really remember any of that. But in the 80s, I mean, set records for penalty minutes. I mean, there was just the fights were crazy. That's when they had to start cleaning things up.
Yeah, but Eric, that's how you know. Eric,
So
that's how you
the
know.
lunch pail gang of the Boston Bruins, and Johnny Wensick going over to the North Stars bench and doing this, and I watched just debauchery in hockey games.
Eric, the problem
awesome.
is, I understand, Eric. The problem is you're trying to make one point, and you're actually making a completely different point. Yannick, does Eric realize that all he's said here, and this is an Eric claim, what Eric has said is that hockey, professional hockey, is exactly as real as professional wrestling.
It is.
So
The reason there were no real consequences in that is because hockey is fake.
Bobby Orr's not real. Sorry.
Nope. An actor, a failed figure skater turned character actor. He only wanted to do was dance.
Floating.
All he wanted to do was dance.
Dance. I just want to dance.
Yannick, I don't think Eric realized this. All he did was just make the argument that hockey's not real. I'm convinced. Eric is making a superb point here. He's right. Professional wrestling, the police never arrested anybody because it's a show. It's not real. The violence is staged. Professional hockey in the 70s and 80s, nobody got arrested because it's not real. The violence is staged. Everybody had a good time. Nobody got hurt.
Dino Cicerelli got arrested.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Oh, there's few.
I think it's clearly the drug. I think it was clearly the drugs. It was all about the drugs. Maybe they were all on the steroids too. All on those Hogan vitamins and prayers in the 80s.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever said anything, but don't put it past them.
Just saying.
Just saying.
I think we've learned a lot tonight. We've learned a lot. I'll move on here. Ross Life says, did you see the Medano Mirror Gold in my reply today? I didn't get a chance to look at it. I will take a look, but just so you know, I will check it out. I appreciate that you left a comment there with a link and everything. I've got all the Medano Mirror Golds for all the years, and I've actually got like 2,600 Medano cards, so I do have a number of them. So, but I appreciate it. I'll take a look anyway, but I'll just let you know, I generally won't look too closely at whenever somebody says, oh, take a look at, this pile of cards. You need these. The answer most often is no, but I'll take a peek anyway. So I appreciate you sending a link just in case, but I haven't had the chance to look at it yet. Generally speaking, at this point, when I'm adding stuff to the collection, I will go and seek it out, and I'll reach out to somebody if I see something that I need to add. The media was telling you that wrestling was real. Was it CNN? Listen, Carlisle.
It was on Facebook.
All media is fake.
Yes.
The problem is what we don't seem to realize is the only thing that is real, the only thing that is true,
The only thing.
is that Reggie Lemelin is fake.
All right, listen. You're carrying it a little too far. Bring it back.
I'm merely exposing truth.
Bring it
I'm merely
back.
exposing truth.
Bring it
Too late.
back.
He went there.
It's gone.
He
It's
did.
over.
There's no need for that nonsense. Just stop it.
When Bob Backlund lost the belt, I was sick for a week. The first time or the second time.
Mhm.
The 84 one was bad, but I got to tell you, when Mr. Backlund lost the belt to Diesel in 10 seconds in Madison Square Garden, that offended me. I was very offended. Because I actually liked Mr. Backlund. Mr. Backlund was hilarious.
He's crazy in real life, I think.
But the point is, Eric, that was hilarious. I enjoy. Look, the first Bob Backlund version where he was the champion for like 7 years, he was
Right.
like Howdy Doody. It was so boring and generic. It was like, whatever. But the second one, he was a crazy bastard, and that was at least entertaining. That was fun. That was fun. That dude should have had a chance to run the table and be champion for a little bit. Give him a little time.
But I
Have a
think
little
he's
fun.
really like that. I think he's
That's
really-
okay.
I think in real life he's crazy.
Embrace the crazy. Embrace the crazy. Love it. Have a good time. Mr. Wrestling number 2, mic drop. There you go. There you go. Suk says, slap shot. Expose hockey is fake. I know.
What?
Easy.
Oh, you're gonna piss Yannick off. You guys have no idea.
Don't
He's
go.
going to foil up. He's going to foil up. I remember switching from WCW to WF because I thought WF had a better chance of being real. There you go. Yep. I appreciate it. No worries. I'll check it out. Thank you. But yes, I got a good time with it. For me, it was, I enjoyed the show aspect of it. That was the key. I enjoyed the show aspect of it. And the thing is, even today, knowing it's not real, if you look at it as a show and you enjoy the show, That's the part that matters. If it doesn't interest you and it doesn't have anything well, then don't watch it. It's okay. Like, it's the same thing with every other show. By the way, it's the same thing with every other show. I like House. The man is not only not American, shocking, he's not even a doctor.
Yeah,
it's true. He's not a doctor. He's not even American.
Got a fake accent.
I know.
Yeah.
Like yours.
That was the Eric. That was always my favorite thing. We'd be like, well, wrestling's fake. It's like, would you have this conversation if we were talking about like a movie or a TV show? Like, would you feel like would you literally go out of your way to? It's like, yes. That's why I said it's like, okay. Do I have to remind you again? We had one of the gimmicks that was I want to say in the 90s during the Attitude Era. One of the gimmicks was they were trying to figure out and get to the bottom of who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin with a car. Vehicular assault. No charges were laid. Shockingly. I couldn't believe it. It was great. Not even a parking citation, Eric. Not even a parking ticket.
Not even a parking ticket.
How? What are we even supposed to do if you can't even land a parking ticket on that? So I would say don't take it seriously. Enjoy it for what it is. Have some fun. And as long as you take it in that context, it's a lot more enjoyable. I think it's fun. The wrestling interviews are as good as the action. A lot of times, yes. If somebody's good at it,
The promo.
Yeah, a good promo or somebody, having a little fun with it and going like all over the map on that. Look, when I'm watching a lot of the wrestling shows, they've got this weekend. They have AW has the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. I think it's going to be a good show. The pay-per-view. So I'll give you the difference. The way I watch wrestling today, when I'm watching the regular television show, the shows are about 2 hours with commercials and everything, right? It never takes me 2 hours to watch it. Why? Because for the most part, I'm skipping through most of the matches. I'm not concerned with a match on television. Generally has no consequence, so it doesn't really matter. I don't need to sit there and watch the whole thing. I'll usually watch it if there is a storyline implication to something that's going on inside of it, so I can skim through it to get to the piece. It's like following a story, but getting to the key plot points. That's the part I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So if there's a consequence, this person wins, therefore this other thing occurs, and it's a chain of events, there you go. That's what I'm following. But if somebody's in a promo talking about something, explaining something, which can then lead to a storyline point, I'll sit there and pay a little bit closer attention. And that's how I'll watch the television product. On the pay-per-views, that tends to be where the matches have a little more consequence. I'm a little bit more interested in what happens there. So on a pay-per-view, I will watch more of the matches. On television, I'll usually skim through most of it. And that includes when I was watching WWE, it was the same thing for years. I'm like, this match doesn't matter. Unless the winner or loser has some consequence to the storyline, you could literally skip the whole thing and it makes no difference.
It's like hockey. Just watch the playoffs. You'll be happy.
At this point, that's basically what I do, yeah. It's like this regular season game. It's like, that's cool, but does this team winning or this team winning change the playoff standing? No. I don't care who wins. Whatever.
Nope. Yeah. Let's pay $400.
Get to the playoffs. Get to the playoffs, then we'll talk. Because then maybe the seeding matters. That is a plot line, the storyline significance.
Oh, yeah. Having the number one seed really matters.
Well, no, the key is don't have the number one seed, Eric. The problem is having the number one seed is a detriment. You don't want the number one seed. Go after number 2 or number 3 or number 5.
They don't even have tickets now. So even if you go to a significant game, it doesn't matter. No tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So everything this, forward is not going to be, there's no significant in tickets going forward because they all stopped. So what happens? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Does it create more interest, less interest?
Well, I think the problem is that hockey went PG and that ruined everything. If we went back, if we went back to the Attitude Era of hockey, when guys would go to the stands and attack, plants, they would have fake fans, of course. So, they just attack them. Then I think that would work. Like, imagine if Sidney Crosby had a major heel turn, lost his mind. He said, you know what? Fuck Sid the Kid thing. I am now Sid the Butcher, and just goes and attacks random fans in the stands. I think that would be the storyline that would get hockey to the next level.
It would. Guaranteed.
Someone in the U.S. might even give a shit about hockey. Think about it.
Here's something funny. So Terry O'Reilly's the one that, started that and jumped into the fans, at Madison Square Garden. Terry now is like the nicest, sweetest guy you want to meet. And everywhere he goes, he walks around or on a leash, has these two teeny tiny little dogs. And he either is carrying them or has them on a leash. And everywhere he goes, there's these. I mean, you'd think this guy would have like a Rottweiler, right? No. He's got these two little teeny tiny, put him in your pocketbook type of dogs that he brings everywhere he goes. It is hysterical that this is one of the toughest human beings that have ever, played professional hockey. And now in his, older years, he's just walking around with these teeny tiny little dogs and talking to them and rubbing noses with them and all. It's hysterical.
If your sound was off, that'd be kind of weird. Anyways.
Yeah. So Bobby, just to let you know, it's giving me a low storage warning on my end. I can actually see a thing that says there. Just giving you a heads up, so you know.
Yeah, I'll exit out before that happens, and
okay, just letting you know.
So.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, because otherwise,
Stu was saying if I stay away from the LeBron drama, I really enjoy watching the NBA. So here's, and I think that's completely fair. But I'm going to throw this out at you: when LeBron finally retires and he's gone, I think less people are going to be interested in the NBA. I think. Look, I said about it allegedly in jest. I might not be joking about the hockey not being real, but the point is this. Professional sports are still entertainment. Villains matter too. So if you decide that you really hate LeBron and you really are just rooting actively against LeBron, you're still paying attention. Even if you're not watching every game, you're still watching things like, oh, I hate that guy. Well, then you get rid of him. Who's the next villain?
Always got to have
so
his
maybe
son.
Get spread out.
His son.
Yeah, I guess so. So, but the point is, though, like I'm being serious, though. I'm actually being 100% serious. There is a value to having a villain in the sport. The same way that you can have a hero, the one that everybody likes, having a villain, somebody like, oh, he does all this. Great. From the sport perspective, it's better to have some, because otherwise the alternative is no one cares. Indifference is the one they don't want. Because what if the rest of them are very boring? Being serious, one of hockey's biggest problems in trying to sell itself for many years is that most of the hockey players are vanilla. They don't say anything interesting. They barely do anything interesting. They just exist. Yeah, and then they're just there.
Boring.
What's that?
Connor McDavid is boring.
Yeah. And the problem is he's the guy that in theory would be your star. If Connor McDavid would just randomly punch small children or something, like at least we'd have something. Just randomly going down the street, punch a kid. Just at random, whatever. But the problem is because he's very boring, you have to rely entirely on his performance. Then when he's doing highlight reel things, that's great. But then you hear him talk and he doesn't say anything interesting. He doesn't do anything interesting. He just exists. So the problem is, okay, he might be the best, most skilled player in the game. But how many people actually care?
Just people in Edmonton.
Great.
And anybody holding his PMGs and his and his cards.
But that's a real problem, though. That creates a lack of star power. And it's not because of a lack of talent. The talent is there, but how many talented players are there that look, Wayne Gretzky's thing is that it worked out that he happened to be part of a great team of a lot of great players. Wayne Gretzky's not a major personality either. But he was so
no, he's horrible.
But he was so good at the time, and the team was so good that they were able to work with that. That's good. If you're transcendently great and you are winning and you're doing all those things, you can make that work. That's your star power. Your star power is that you're acknowledged as the guy. So you can work with that.
The only time he was ever funny, Carlos, is in that Boys on the Bus video, documentary when they're all sitting at dinner and he's like, "Get your own puck. That's my puck." And he's totally trashed. And he's talking about spreading the puck around the team. He's like, no, it's my puck. Get your own puck. So
it's that one.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny.
I think your word for it.
Guys, Carlos, thanks for having me. I gotta go.
Sounds good. Have yourself a good night.
We'll talk to you later.
All your stuff.
Don't do
Play
that.
with the stuff.
Thanks. Thanks
you
for
later.
chat. Good evening, guys. Bye.
Later, buddy.
See ya.
Let's see. Timberwolves had a fun season with Anthony watching the national media discover him in the playoffs. There you go. CC says, Fishboy is quiet but had great hobby love. I think the problem is, though, Fishboy had great hobby love because there were people who wanted him to be that guy. Like there's a segment of those folks. The great hobby love is more a reflection on. No, I don't think anybody. If I ask anybody who's like a big collector of Fish Boy, I'm like, okay, what's your favorite game? What's your favorite highlight? What's your
You know-
favorite play?
You can answer all those
Oh,
questions.
I can answer it.
You
When
can
he
answer.
struck out to show Otani, that's my highlight. But the thing is that isn't the same thing as if you were a fan of Jordan. He had the championships and everything, but you could be like, oh, I loved when he did this, or I love when he won the NBA, the dunk contest, and he did this thing, or this other, or when he made the shot, the first three-peat or the second three-peat, or did this or that. Even the time in between. Jordan was a star. He's not a swell fella, but he was a star. But Jordan had some edge, and even when he's got he's retired, he's accepting, going to the Hall of Fame. He was a complete asshole.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't say Michael Jordan did not have a personality. He had an outsized ego to go along with it. But here's the thing: Michael Jordan was a star, and he carried himself like a star, and it made it easier for. There could be people who are like, "Oh man, I love Jordan. He's the best." Blah blah blah. And there could be that guy's an asshole. I hate that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it came out,
But you had both,
and it came out in the documentary. There was, during COVID, so that's why it got so much buzz, and his cards all went up because of COVID, plus the documentary. But in my opinion, the documentary was very well done. I don't think he came off looking good. He came off looking like the greatest basketball player of all time.
Oh yeah.
But as a human being, and teammate, and I just don't think he came off looking good. Even now in his 60s, doing the interviews that he sat there in his house and did the interviews for the documentary, I don't think he came off looking good. He is a not so swell fella.
Mm-hmm.
and what works with it is he can be the villain. He can be you can appreciate his accomplishments and be a fan. You can look at his personality, his off the court and everything, and be like, that guy's an asshole. I hate that guy. But here's the thing: you have an opinion on the guy. He's not somebody you're ignoring, and that's the point. And that's why I said what I was saying earlier tonight about the thing with Stu and everything. It's like, here's the thing: if you hate LeBron James, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That works. That's just as good as liking him. the only time, because they'll be like, oh, I don't watch. It's like, well, here's the thing: all these people put him on all these shows and everything because people are tuned in, even if it is to complain that they're talking about him. The moment everybody clicks off when they talk about him, that'll be when they stop talking about him and move on to somebody else. But they're not doing it. The proof is in the pudding. And it's worked for 20 years. Even if tomorrow everybody gets tired of him and tunes out, it's like, well, okay, he's had a 20-year run. Good enough. So that's the thing. There is a role in this for the villain. Again, the alternative, like I said, that's why I use Connor McDavid. As far as you can tell, he's a quiet, unassuming guy. Doesn't really offend anybody with anything he does, but you forget about him 5 seconds after you're done watching the game. You don't give him a second thought. And it's not a lack of talent.
No.
So it's like, so there is something like that. And Fish Boy, out of sight, out of mind. Like what I was saying a minute ago is that there are a bunch of guys who have a vested interest. They want him to be that GOAT level player. But every year that goes by and it's not happening, he had a lot of hobby love. He still has some, but how confident can you be? Like if you threw a lot of money into it, if you were the person who paid $400,000 for that superfractor, how good do you feel right now? You feel real bad. It's like, it's not a good place to be in. Like you're sitting there like, you're never getting that money back.
No. And
Fish Boy is not the star. He might have been MLB's best player, allegedly. I dispute that, but for the sake of argument, let's pretend for a fraction of time he was. You don't give him a second thought either. Other than just saying, okay, he's the best player. Okay, cool. What's your favorite play? What's your favorite game? What's your favorite performance? Can you tell me anything he's said or done that's remotely interesting?
Yeah. I don't follow baseball, but as a sports fan who, looks at sports websites and Instagram and, all this different stuff, other than he either hit a home run or he's injured again, you don't see anything about the guy. I couldn't tell you the first thing about him.
Yeah, and that's a problem. Because at that point, that means if he's not performing, he might as well not exist.
Yeah, true.
And that's
Falls
not
in
going
the
to work. If
chorus.
you're the face of a sport, if you're going to be the face of the sport, you can't be that nondescript to the point we can forget about you. His injury could extend and being career-ending. Would anybody notice? It'd be 1,000 people who overpaid for Fish Boy cars all of a sudden go silent.
Yeah.
Screamed all at once and went silent. Outside of that, you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know he's gone. He is an Eagles fan. Yes, he is.
Huh?
That is true, Paul. He's got that going for him.
Oh.
His personality
Well,
trait is a fan of a different sport.
I'll leave you two guys. It's 10:30, and before my thing shuts off, you know, every time I pause it, it goes funny talking. Your voice goes like my voice, you know, from other shows. It's really weird. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get out of StreamYard, but it's defaulting going to Safari, so maybe I have to go through Google if I can reroute it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then we'll have
Well,
to
either
work.
way, we'll make sure. Like I said, I'll do some kind of reminder or something.
It
I'll
should
make
be
sure to turn it
something on
off.
my phone that I can do, but either way, we'll do that.
We'll figure it out.
Next show.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Okay. All right, guys. Have a good night. Ciao,
Have
everybody.
yourself a good night. All right. Zach says people hate LeBron so much they do. It's exhausting that people hate him, but they spend so much time talking about him on social media. So Zach is though making my point. Here's the thing, Eric. My favorite thing, as a person who does enjoy the shot in front, as a person, perhaps it's an alleged thing.
Oh.
Part of my healing was the healing power of shot in front. I do enjoy it. My favorite part about this, and I'm not a basketball guy. I don't even watch basketball, so it doesn't really matter to me one way or the other. It makes no difference on my end. But one thing that I will say though, I get amused watching the hate for LeBron James because I'm sitting there like, if it was me, I just would ignore him. Oh, but they talk about him as like, then don't watch those shows.
Right.
Oh, but then don't follow those accounts. If it's not something that interests you, you can curate your experience to a point. You are choosing to look at the thing that makes you mad. I don't get it. Like, so then don't come cry to me that it's like, oh, but I assure you, do you have any idea, Eric, how many times somebody will come by and say, did you hear about whatever? Because I'm not on Twitter, I have no idea what they're talking about. I literally, and I'm not saying it in a flippant, like, oh, I don't know what that is. I literally have no idea what they're talking about because it's not on my feed. It's not, I've got my Instagram, I got my YouTube, and I've curated both those to the best of my ability to leave accounts that talk about stuff I don't care about.
Yep.
And as a result, for the most part, I get to see what I want to see. Anything outside of that, I don't care. Doesn't even exist. It's really easy to be more relaxed. Like it's very chill, that world.
I wish more people would do that. I don't have the Twitters or the Facebooks. It doesn't interest me. I don't want it. I got, Instagram. I have a private account, so you have to ask to come in and be a part of my account. And I only pretty much watch. I've only favorited, and selected mountain biking and card channels on Instagram. So there's nothing in there that I'm going to see that's going to upset me or get me an emotional reaction except for happy. And I wish more people would do that. Instead, they go looking for pain. They go looking for things that are going to upset them. Mostly it's political stuff, but and they go on Twitter and they go on Facebook and they go on Instagram and they literally go and look for things that are going to make them mad. And it's like, I just don't. I think that's a waste of time in your life. So I'm glad that you don't do it. I don't do it. You want to get mad? Just turn the news on for a half hour. You'll get mad, just to see what a horrible shape the world's in at most points. With wars and everything else, you're miserable. 6 o'clock news you'll be miserable. You don't have to do it for the rest of your day.
And what's interesting is I haven't watched the news in like 15 years, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Shocking. I seem unbothered. I am unburdened by these things, Eric.
Yeah. I do like, knowing what's going on in the world. I try to find information that's just telling me the facts, and I don't really care about one opinion or the other opinion. I just give me some facts. So I do want to have a general idea of what's happening in the world, but I just don't go and search this stuff out just so I can get angry.
Yep. And the thing is, that even if you're not going out of your way, you'll see stuff if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah,
that's fine. Okay. Simon 466 Cards. Good evening. Agree with you guys. I don't understand. Hate watching something. Such a waste of time. That has always been kind of my running joke. And you'll see it. You'll see some folks that will go out of their way to do so and complain about the same thing over and over again as if it'll change. And I'm like, if it bothers you so much, why don't you not watch it or do or provide the alternative that you're looking for? I actually want to touch on that briefly in relation to the Hobby Palooza thing, because I'll touch on kind of what the IRP guys talked about a little bit, but I'll kind of give a constructive criticism both ways because we participated in it and we were happy to participate in it for our part.
Yeah, I had a good time.
But I want to give a critique both ways, kind of to their critique, but also to the show itself. And I kind of share that, and we'll keep it open-ended, but I want to share with you that it's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, though, where if you're looking for something to complain about, you'll always find it. And we can touch on, and by the way, you can also still critique, and it can be a valid critique. Both things can be true. A lot of political types have been trolling sports fees over the Negro League statistics. Yeah, but it's just looking for an excuse. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. I won't name any accounts on this one because it's just an account that I had on my feed. I follow a lot of different player collectors. And I saw somebody make a comment that I do agree with. It's a sports card Instagram. All of them are sports cards. But then you'll see, you can do Instagram stories. And then I'll see an Instagram story where this person wanted to use their sports card Instagram to make a political point about the debate. And I'm sitting there like, there's a disconnect here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sports card Instagram where all you're posting is sports cards.
Yeah.
And you want to use your IG stories to weigh in on it. So, my response was, I didn't say anything. I didn't send him a message. I don't know the dude from Adam. I just followed him because I was interested in some of the cards that he was posting and stuff like that. I was just looking at it. So I went in and I clicked unfollow. I'm not interested in your political opinions.
Right.
If I was, I'd ask you. Well, don't hold your breath waiting for me to ask you. I don't care about your opinion. So, especially on a sports card Instagram.
Yeah.
Why? This is not the venue. This is not your personal page.
I'll be on Instagram and I'll either go to a sports card thing or a mountain biking thing, or maybe I'll see something with cute kittens. And of course, there's 4,000 comments about the cute kittens. Well, about the 10th comment down, it will say something along the lines of, yeah, those kittens remind me of, put in this political figure. Because the kittens were sleepy, or the kittens, fell off a table, and that reminds me of this political figure. And it's like, dude, all we were doing was just enjoying some kittens. Why does every single comment have to be about this that brings in stress and anger? And I'm sorry that you're that angry that when you were looking at kittens, you have to bring this. Everyone else is going, oh, so cute, nice kittens. Oh, that reminds me of the one I had when I was a kid. Whatever they're saying, right? I hate cats, by the way. I don't know why I'm even using this as an example.
Your YouTube history of cat videos says otherwise. But
yeah,
listen, you say whatever narrative. You speak your truth, Eric.
Yeah,
you speak your truth.
It's just you can't go open up any comment section on any topic and count 10 down without hitting something. It's just like, why?
Yeah. Well, the point is that's why I take advantage of my curation options. And by the way, just so we're all on the same page, the comment in question could have been about any aspect of the debate. I don't care. The point wasn't what the comment was one way or the other, because I'm not American. I don't care who you vote for. I have no say in this matter. But the fact that you did that on your sports card Instagram is the part where I'm like, really, sir?
Yeah. I didn't come here.
Venue. Yeah, this is not the venue. So there's no reason for me to follow because you're wasting my time.
It's like when I buy a ticket to go see a concert and the singer stops in the middle of it and starts telling me what to think and who to vote for. And it's just like, I didn't come here for that. I am not, and I can't unfollow. It's like, I paid a lot of money. I want to hear this music, but I may not come back to another concert. You may lose me in the future.
Tragic. But
I
yes.
hate that.
So let's see here. Well, I'm more American than the fake Americans in America.
Well, you
This is
are
true.
American, right? You're North American. You have a history.
And I'm south of many American cities. This is true.
Yeah.
The so the Hobby Palooza thing. So I'm going to refill my water, but I'll quickly set up what I wanted to say about the Hobby Palooza thing. So basically, we participated in it, like I mentioned, and again, there was a charity element to it as well, so we appreciated that, and it was good. And I think they did pretty well with it. I want to say they got like $5,500 or something like that.
That's
for
great.
Signature for Solar. So good cause, great. Best of luck to them. Glad we were able to participate and help in any way we can. We had our fun, so it was good from that perspective as well. Now, here's the thing: if you go look at the programming, I didn't have a set theme going into it, and when they created the thumbnail and everything, it's just me, Eric, and Bobby, because basically I knew that we were going to be on regardless. I was able to invite Wes, and I was able to invite Brandon, and I was able to invite Jason, and we were able to have a nice panel to discuss matters. We decided to go with the player collecting thing because it's right in my wheelhouse. I figured it was easy. A lot of us could have something to say about it. It was good. And then we switched over once we talked about it for a little bit. Then we switched over just generally bantering and talking. Good. Here's the funny thing. The IRP guys were talking about it, and their kind of complaint or concern about it was very heavily focused on vintage baseball cards, which, if you look through the lineup, is true. There was a very heavy dose of that.
Sure.
But at the same time, there were a bunch of shows on there that were not. So it's one of those things where, like, this is an example of the guys mean well, and they're giving their critique, which, by the way, they're entitled to give the critique. Whatever they feel is what they feel, and I think that's valid. But look, sometimes it's like we get so hung up on the we fixate, and I forget what it's called, but there is that condition or that reality where if you tell somebody to focus on something, they'll notice it more. If you're looking at buying a red car, you want to replace your car, you're looking at a red car, you start driving around on the road, and guess what? You're going to start seeing red cars everywhere. Well, there are no more than there were before. It's just you're noticing it. It's at the front of your mind. So if you're looking for something, you're going to find it. That I don't know what that is actually called. There is a term for it. So you can all look it up. I'm not sure. But anyway, the point that I'm making is, so here's the For Collectors YouTube channel. Okay, here it is. And by the way, so I want to speak in facts. I don't want to guess. I want to speak in facts, and we can look at it right here. So starting right here is basically where the live stream started. First one on the Saturday was Hobby Hotline. I don't consider that to be vintage baseball, Eric. I consider that to be an open-ended, like their call-in show.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So let's just keep an unofficial count here. Okay. I'm going to count ones that are not vintage baseball only. Okay. So Hobby Hotline, no. Let's Talk National 2024. I don't consider that to be vintage baseball related. It's national.
Right.
So it's a very specific topic. Two Guys Draw One Hobby Legend. It was drawing Mickey Mantle. If you want to call it that, that's fine. I accept it, but I'm borderline on that one, but I'll let you decide if you count it or not. Junk Wax and More. Well, Junk Wax era is not vintage era. So
No.
I'm going to say at least 3, if not 4. So 3 to 4, depending on how you want to count it. Okay.
Okay.
Favorite through the decades, definitely touched on vintage baseball, no doubt. Staying alive in the hobby, Petty and Orlando do vintage, no doubt. So I'm going to leave that alone. Hobby News Daily. That's more kind of general, because I think Bobby was on that one, if memory serves me. So I think that was more kind of a general discussion there. So, all right. So between 4 and 5. So we'll use your count. Do you want to count as 4 or 5?
I think 4.
Okay. So let's go with 4. All right. Get Off My Lawn, both Mangini and Rick. They're more vintage side. So I'll leave that one alone. Pre-war oddball cards, again, vintage. I'll count it as separate. Baseball Card Hall of Fame. There's a lot of vintage cards in that one. Kraken Cooperstown Hall of Fame autographs. So that's an autograph topic, not necessarily just vintage baseball, but it is, I guess we can count it if you want. Turn Back the Clock, same thing. And then Hobby Palooza After Hours. So we definitely do not qualify for that. So
No.
Are we at 5 or 6?
We're at 5, right?
Yeah, we could say 5 for the sake of argument. Our show was 2.5 hours. So out of what was like a 14-hour thing, it means about half of it was not vintage baseball.
Yeah.
Because we were 2.5 hours. So we actually took up the space of 2.5 shows. So if you're being truthful, the first day was about 50-50. Does that sound like every show was vintage baseball?
No, if it's 50-50, then you can't say it's every.
Correct. The problem is we're so ready to go into exaggeration to make a point. That's what I'm getting at here. I understood their point that it was heavy vintage baseball, but it's not all vintage baseball. Well, here's day 2. Autographs, how and why we collect them. That's Garrett.
I showed a 1980 Carl Yastrzemski card or something you said earlier. Does that mean we did vintage baseball tonight?
We touched on it, but we touched on it for all of 5 seconons. So,
But
and I showed a 53 Bowman color, so I don't think that. The point is that I don't consider that heavy enough to warrant.
I
autographs,
agree, but somebody who's looking to, and I'm not saying the guys over at the IRP did this, because I to be honest, wasn't able to watch the show this week. So, but if a person is looking for something, like you said, and they're looking to complain about something, what we did tonight, they'd call that more. Oh, there they go, talking about vintage baseball again on this show too. And we spent a total of 10 seconds at most.
Yeah, and that's fine. But that's why I said, like, I'm just looking at here. Again, autographs here. I think it was across the board on autographs, but if you want to count that, by all means, count down. I'll count it. Card mentions, no. Off-centered, no. There's 2. Jordan hierarchy, that's literally basketball. No. John Stars is Wester Griff, right from Philly, whatever, talking about Philadelphia sports. No. Spitballing cards is modern. No. Mickey Mantle Showdown, yes.
Yeah.
Off topic with Craig and Darren, they're vintage. Hobby Talk with Big Scott, no. Vintage is king, yes. Wrap-up show. It's a wrap-up show. No. Yeah. So in reality, Sunday was even less than 50-50. So I'm seeing more than 50% not vintage baseball, Eric. I didn't have to work that hard. I literally went one by one. I just did it. I just did it in front of you.
I didn't watch every show. I watched parts of some shows. Their intent was to do one thing and it leaned into vintage baseball. I don't know. Vintage baseball is the foundation of this hobby. And that's somebody who, hates it. So vintage baseball is where it all started. Vintage baseball still pushes the market. You have a Honus Wagner come up, it's on the mainstream news. You got the best looking Mickey Mantle 52 out there. It makes the news. It still pushes this hobby. I don't understand why people would be upset about it, but I guess even if your favorite food is pizza and you had it three meals a day, you might get tired of it after a while and looking for a hamburger. Yeah.
So what I'm basically getting at is this. I think the critique that it could have used a little bit more variety in terms of the shows covering other sports, talking about some of the other categories and everything. I think that's a valid critique. That's a fair critique. But to make your point, saying it was like mostly vintage baseball, I literally just objectively proved that wrong.
Right.
So it's like you can't exaggerate incorrectly to make what is a valid point, because you're undermining your own point. If the idea is, hey, I would love to see a couple of more. I'd love to see a couple of more about football. I'd like to see a couple more basketball ones. I'd like to see some, dare I say, we want the Eric Hockey Hour. Fine. If that's what you want, then that's fine. That's a separate criticism, and that's a valid one. But then it's up to the guys who are organizing it to know enough people in those other categories to be able to reach out, because they were able to fill in all the slots. They had no problem filling it.
Right.
And right now we're content-wise, by the way, we're skewed heavily vintage anyway. Like when I go in my feed, I go look at it. They're making a lot of videos and a lot of things, and people are watching it. So the proof is in the pudding. Who's watching? Yeah, so if people are watching it, well, guess what? Provide them what they're watching, though.
Right.
If you want to see more football, well, then number one, you need to make it. You need to make that football content, and number two, you need to convince people to watch it. Because if more people are watching it, then there's going to be a very good reason for somebody else to go around and make more. It's a copycat league.
Yeah.
So if people who are looking for views realize that there's more interest in showing, right now, I shared a couple of weeks back that podcast that does 90s and early 2000s. That's obviously an area right in my wheelhouse. I like it. So I promoted it because I said, hey, here's something that's covering that area if you're interested. If you are, great. If you're not, that's fine. But then I can't complain that nobody is talking about 90s and early 2000s when I found one, obviously, and I'm promoting it and kind of saying it to people that might be interested. I'm doing my part by at least letting people know. And if they're interested, they can check it out. That's it. That's all you can do. Or you can make some of it yourself.
Right.
Those are your choices. Otherwise, there's nothing to complain about. If you're not seeing enough of the thing you're hoping for, well, then I guess not enough people are interested in making it or watching it.
I still think it goes back to vintage baseball is the foundation of the entire hobby. And
it is, but I think what's funny though is for a while that market was underserved. For a while, that market was. You could argue that market was underserved for a long time. Now I could look at it and say, well, we're pretty well served. We're almost overserved now. But that's the ebbs and flows of this, man. That's the ebbs and flows. So, okay, you don't want to see more of that? Well, then don't make more of it. That's part of the reason I do. That's part of the reason I mentioned earlier tonight. When I'm doing this, per hour, we're showing less cards than a lot of those ones. It's like, because look, if you want to see cards, I can go pull up eBay. I can go pull up eBay and start typing names.
Here, I get them all over my desk.
Yes. So it's like, how much do you want to see that? Like most of the cards that I'm going to see, I've seen 50,000 times. Especially if you're talking about like the golden age, 50s baseball and whatever.
Sure.
I've seen almost every single card in every single one of those sets. Unless you go real obscure. If you go real obscure, then great. Hey, that's off the beaten path. Awesome. But if you're showing me 1956 Topps Jackie Robinson, I have literally seen that card 1,000 times.
Right.
Even if you have a really nice copy, I've literally seen it 1,000 times. Saddle Fan says, you guys are clearly talking too much about guys talking too much vintage. How far can it go? Until they talk about too many people talking about too much vintage.
That's really the only answer.
Yes. And then we will talk about them talking about too many people talking about too much vintage.
That is the plan.
And the circle will continue.
Hakuna
It's an
Matata.
infinite content loop.
That's right.
It never ends. Big Scott, good evening. Give me them views. That's right. That's right. Cards fade over time. It's the people. Sounds stupid, but that's a hobby. It's the people, the chocolate sticks, the schadenfreude. That is forever.
Chocolate sticks should be forever.
Dave says, can't be too much vintage. It's already way too much. It was too much before we even started talking about it.
I'm with Dave.
That's because you're old.
Yes.
Yeah. Because for you, vintage is effectively contemporary.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Yeah. Mm. But yes.
I'm 50 and cards from 50 years ago are vintage. Yes.
They are. They are.
That makes me vintage.
It does. It does. Mm. Something important to note. Old and vintage, that's right.
That's it.
Well, unfortunately, the Reggie Lemelin that Eric was showing earlier was definitely not vintage.
No. This one's going to stay on the desk for a while. I even put it in an upside down holder to fit into
for all the complaints you have about there being nothing else except the one picture from Leaf, you should.
I know.
You should give it the extra.
So this one's going to stay on the desk for a while. I got it in my stand-up displays holder from Dan the Man. So,
sure, Eric, you don't want more of a, some more exotic Reggie Lemon.
I have that one.
So do others.
I have that one. I think that's the tiger. I think I have that.
Mm-hmm.
So disgusting. I hate myself.
There's so many others. You should hate yourself.
Myself for what I've done.
Yep. So Big Scott's got a good question here. We'll touch on that. So Zach says here, wasn't Hobby Palooza started by Mike? Yes. That was, I think, his original concept. Yes. Some of the people keep in touch with are going to be vintage guys. So naturally, Hobby Palooza will be vintage heavy. Yes. The difference, though. So let me kind of break down this important thing, though. The original one was that, and it was going to be vintage heavy as well. But it's also based on who the organizers know. Because here's your problem. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You can go in with the idea of trying to balance it out a little bit. But what if you are a vintage guy to the point that you watch vintage channels? This is what you know. So how are you going to then, who are you going to reach out to in these other categories that you don't watch to try to, rebalance? And one other thing I want to quickly note as well, to be fair.
To be fair.
There you go. So one important thing, I only speak for us. We weren't told what the subject to talk about. It can be whatever you wanted. It could be whatever topic. So I made the judgment call. I talked to the guys, but I made the judgment call. I was like, let's go with the player collector thing because we know it pretty well. And I figured it'd be nice to have a little bit of structure, at least for the first hour. And then after the first hour, then we go to a regular thing where we screw around and just chat about whatever. So I figured that would make the most sense. That's what made the most sense for me. But everybody else had the chance to go with Cajun Cardboard is a basketball guy. So of course he's going to talk about basketball cards. That's what he knows. That's what he does. So it's consistent. The spitball and card guys are baseball. So of course, what are they going to, and by the way, modern baseball. So what else are they going to, they're not going to be talking about 1954 Topps baseball. They're going to be talking about 2024 Topps baseball. So it's going to be more in line with what they normally do. And, off-center with Neo, Dustin, and Flip and Steve. Well, guess what they're going to talk about? They're going to go into they're going to do their own kind of show, doing it the way they usually would do it. It makes sense. All of these guys are doing their show their way. The John Stars thing with Ed Westergriff was Philadelphia sports. It was all Philadelphia guys on the panel. So they're going to be talking about New York sports? Probably not. But that was their decision. They decided they wanted to lean into that geographical thing because that's what they know and that's what they wanted to talk about. Great. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine.
I don't think people on YouTube shows should focus on just one team.
I really would love. I would love nothing more than if you would pull something trying to do that move. Pull something. It'd be amazing. Just see like a pop.
I didn't pop it, but I strained it.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Mike doesn't like August is not going to keep in the loop of hockey YouTubers. Yeah, I agree. No, I'm 100% on board with that. My only point was that none of us were restricted. There was no mandate from on above that you had to talk about vintage baseball. A lot of those guys, though, that's what they do. So, and the guys that are organizing it, they watch and follow and hang out with a lot of those channels. So naturally, guess what? It makes sense. Like I can't blame them for that. But also, you could be like, hey guys, we've got a lot of. You could also choose. And by the way, this is the first time the Four Collectors guys actually organized it. This is the first year they've done it. So they can always take back the feed. People can pass them on feedback. Hey guys, could you throw in a couple other categories next time? Okay. And maybe they'll take that under advisement and maybe go out of their way again. Can we get some suggestions? Could you give us a couple of channels that maybe they would be interested?
Yeah, I think audience suggestions are the most important thing. They're the ones
helping out.
They're the ones that should be dictating what is watchable.
Yeah, just give them a little bit of feedback, and then they can adjust and learn. And maybe they'll be able to give you a better cross section of the community next time that is more fitting with what you're talking about. But I just think it wasn't. I understood what the IRP guys were talking about, and their critique was valid. I just felt that it was unfair that they were concerned about this, about it being right now. If I go look at my feed, man, I do see a lot of vintage baseball, and it's just because they're producing a lot of videos per capita. And I'm looking at the other guys, and by the way, I follow football guys, I follow basketball guys. And guess what? I'm just not seeing as many videos. They're not producing as many. So the feed is becoming more dominated by that, even though the people I'm following are the same. So make more of the stuff you want then. And maybe it'll balance itself out and we'll see a shift. But until then, right now, it's just, this is the way it's going to go. Dave says, I watch Scotty B's channel occasionally. I appreciate his passion for cards and the amount of research he does. That's fair. That's fair. I'm not sure if they did a Sunday show, but ending Saturday night with you guys was right on point. It worked out well for us. Saturday night was a good fit because it gave us a little latitude. I was a little tired, unfortunately, when that one was on, but I think it still worked out well. I think we had a good time with it. So Big Scott had a good question here. And actually, I do want to chat on this for at least a couple of minutes. I think we'll still end it early tonight, Eric. I think it's been a good return show. But at the same time, I'll leave it up to the chat. If you guys have a couple of other topics for us to talk about, we can do that. But we don't need to just extend it for the sake of extending it. But I do think this is a good topic, though. This is something we've touched on before a couple of times. The infamous vintage line. So let me give a little groundwork here. For me, growing up, vintage was basically 80, 79, and before. So 80, 79, and before, basically everything before Fleer and Donruss joined the pack in 81, to me, hit that vintage line. 1980 tops to me, hit that vintage line. I'm good with it. But the problem is, every year that goes by, we get further and further and further away from that line. That's our problem, is that we keep getting further. So when I was started collecting in 1990, vintage was only 10 years earlier.
Yep.
The problem is now vintage is 44 years earlier and counting. And we're getting the gap's getting wider and wider and wider. And that creates a problem, because now all of a sudden it's like, so what do you do with the in between? What do you do with 1985? What do you do with 1991? Because 1991, every year that goes by, we get further and further away from it. So how do we separate? What's the clean? We have pre-war, we have vintage, which has been this block for the longest time. By the way, the vintage block after pre-war, I'm actually pretty comfortable with it. Our problem is 81 to figure out a cutoff. Ultra modern can be the last couple of years, but we still got a couple of gaps there. So why don't you start, Eric, and then we'll get some thoughts from the chat as well.
Yeah, I'm a Bobby Morell disciple. I agree with him and his theory, and I think vintage goes up to 1990-ish, because that is when the boom happened, the first boom, and there were 100,000 different card companies. They changed the photography, they changed the stock, they took gum out, the costs went up, die cut cards, jersey cards, autograph cards. None of this stuff existed prior to that. So the way Bobby looks at it, the way I look at it, is modern starts at the early 90s when all that stuff changed. But before that, you still had bubble gum. You still had the prices, that were, relatively affordable for kids and for people, 25 cents a pack or whatever. There was actually the wrappers were actually wax, unlike from 90 on when they were cellophane. So I think it's very clear where that line is, because everything changed in 90-ish moving forward, and not much has changed since then. All right. What new ideas have come out since the first boom? What's different? You got material and cards, you got autographs. Except back then, every single autograph was on card, and there were no stickers.
So I'm going to touch on that. So Eric, you hit on a couple of points. Let me go with a couple of things here. I think Bobby's assertion is fine for hockey. The problem is it only works for hockey, because everything else, the boom in sports cards for baseball was going basically from about 84, because by 84 Donruss, we start hitting the rookie boom. That's the reason why by 88 tops, you're already in the full printing mode. By 1990, you're in the super duper printing mode. So the boom had already started. The boom was already like 6 years on by 1990.
But again,
they were already.
You still had wax. You still had bubble gum. You still had 25 cents a pack. The card.
You didn't have 25 cents a pack. You were already at 99 cents a pack with Upper Deck in 89.
So again, 90-ish is
I
what
understand, but
I
the
can
problem
say
is
ish.
you
So
added a ton of qualifiers.
So
One
now
of them,
89 with Upper Deck and baseball, no gum, cellophane instead of wax, and the cardstock changed.
yeah, but it didn't for Tops. In 1990, Tops was the same. In 91, Tops still had gum. And it wasn't until 92 they removed the gum. And they they removed it from the main brand. And in 92, they changed the stock partially. In 93, they changed the stock again. In 94 is when they went to full UV on both sides. They actually changed the stock 3 different times in between. Also, by 93, you had Topps Finest, which is a super premium brand, which went higher than even Upper Deck did. And by the way, the boom basically ended in 93, 94 with the baseball strike, and it went quiet. So that boom was dead. So some of the card per pack autographs and everything, they had a couple of autographs in packs, very few. The real ones, the jerseys didn't come until 96. That was after the first boom had died. And it was already done by that point. So the problem is, if you want to go with that, cool. But the boom for baseball went from basically 84 to 94, give or take. The stock had already changed multiple times in between, even if I use Topps flagship as an example. Upper Deck started earlier than that, but they came into space. Score started in 88. That was a different space. We had the Tiffany cards, which was a different thing. We had the special box sets, which was already happening in the 80s. The rookie boom was already in the 80s. So Jose Canseco in 86 was a chase card basically because of rookie cards. That's 86. You already had that. And you had all this going on, and things didn't really ramp up again until about the mid 90s. The die cuts and all that, mid 90s. So we have a cutoff there of about 4 or 5 years where you stopped, and then the innovation turned back on through the late 90s and early 2000s. Those cards had no resemblance whatsoever to what was going on in 1993. They were not the same. They completely switched on a lot of stuff. So basically, between that mid 90s period to the late 90s period, they did stuff that to this day they haven't been able to successfully replicate because they were using technology they hadn't used before. So the problem is that era doesn't look anything like that early 90s era, which looks nothing like that late 80s era. So you broke it in about 5 different pieces if you really want to be truthful, but they were all operating at different timelines. Topps was the slowest of the bunch. Upper Deck was already ahead of them. Score was doing its own thing. Pinnacle was doing its own thing. So you've got all these companies going at different directions at different time. Nobody's on a set schedule. So you've got a little bit of buffer in all these eras.
But the question still is the vintage line going to move? And I would say no, still.
I think the vintage line is static. I think the question that we're looking at for me is what is that immediate post-vintage era? Whatever year you consider that to be, what is the next era called?
But I don't know, but that wasn't the question. So I was focusing on the question of when is the vintage line? And it's got to be 90-ish when everything started to change in the hobby. It isn't just about the boom. It's, again, cardstock, cellophane instead of wax, bubble gum, no bubble gum. That's when vintage stopped. That is when we are doing this for all these years. Now we're going to start doing it all completely different. You know, before we were trying to sell bubble gum and tobacco and products and threw cards in as a extra. Now all we're doing is selling cards. Our only focus is we are a card company. We're no longer a gum company. We have a completely different focus at this now to make money.
But Donruss and Fleer were already doing that in 81. They didn't have gum in the packs.
Well, they didn't have a gum.
Exactly. So the thing is, if gum was one of the criteria, that's dead in 81. Because we've got 2 full-time card manufacturers that do not have gum.
The reasons 80-ish is what a lot of people say.
Exactly.
Stopped.
Yeah.
So my opinion is it's 90-ish because the majority of the hobby continued moving forward the same as it had been for the previous 50 years. And then in 90-ish, 89 for baseball, 90 for hockey.
Well, but Eric, that's the point though. The hockey was operating on a different timeline. They were 10 years behind. So if you want to put a 1990 for hockey, no problem, because they were still continuing the way they had been. They were still operating with O-Pee-Chee and Topps kind of just doing their thing. Again, Topps was, steady as she goes. We're still doing it the same way. In baseball, you didn't have, in hockey, you didn't have Donruss and Fleer. The moment Donruss and Fleer came in, it changed the game. It changed what they were doing. They literally did not have gum in the packs. Gum was gone. Over. And again, rookie, boom, that's 84 Donruss. Changed. That's different. There is no 84 Donruss in hockey because it's still Topps and O-Pee-Chee. It's Topps and O-Pee-Chee. Same as it was in 83. Same as it was in 82. So the original question from Bink was, will the vintage line ever move? For me, it won't. The problem that I have, though, is now I have a bigger and bigger gap going. So if the question is just, will the vintage line ever move? Not for me. That's it. There's nothing you can tell me about what happens after that's going to convince me to move the vintage line. The problem is, I do think we need something to account for the time since. Because once we establish this vintage line, again, the same way pre-war doesn't move. The war happened when the war happened. We have a line. So what do you do with after? Well, you got a post-war. Right now, vintage, if all I did was say vintage is between about 41 till about 79, 80, even if that's what I say, that's about a 40-year period. That's pretty good. Okay, what's next? The rest of it's a sliding scale right now, because right now I got nothing after vintage. What do I call the rest of it?
Post-vintage.
The problem is post-vintage is a very big line. I need more lines. And every year that goes by, that line gets bigger because it can go on infinitely as long as they continue to make cards. That's the issue. So Dave is never and ever for moving the vintage line, which I agree with. I think that's fair. And this is what I was getting at here. So CC is touching on this. We need to move like comics with defined ages. Gold and silver, bronze. I don't know who led this classification on the comic side. Probably need a sports card to do something similar, which is something we've talked about before. That was kind of the breakdown of it. So I'll get caught up on a couple of these comments. Was 91 Topps the last cardboard-ish top set, the end of the bubblegum era too? I believe it was, because I think in 92 they didn't have gum anymore. Topps was weird because they actually made multiple changes. 91 was with the gum. Then 92, they started with a lighter stock with like a semi-gloss on one side and with a lighter stock. 93, they went closer to UV. It was still very light. The way you can tell is 93 Topps baseball, just flagship. You could autograph a card basically without really treating the front of the card because it was glossy-er, but you could sign it and it would come out okay. 1994, UV coating on both sides, very clearly. You'd have to mess around with it a little bit to keep the autograph on there. So by that point, it's full UV gloss on both sides. Very different. So in a 3 or 4 year span, they changed the formula of the cardboard basically 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. In a very short period of time. They just kept changing it over and over again. So it was weird. Wanted to ask an off-topic question. Are you at all surprised how Geoff has become old news? He still makes a video, but I don't see anybody talking about him or Cards HQ at all. Because it's kind of same. There's really nothing new. I listened to his most recent podcast, and he did all the qualifiers. I enjoyed it. If you want to laugh, check out the Jeff Wilson show, the most recent one. He was bragging about making $4 million at Cards HQ in the last 4 months, about $1 million a month. But obviously that's sales, revenue, not fully taking into account expenses, because he did mention that the cost of the startup to build it out and everything, he's amortizing it over years. So he's breaking it up, which for accounting purposes makes sense. A building and all that stuff, a good accountant will break it up for years to help you out, but you still have to put like $3 or $4 million up front. So to me, if you made $4 million and that's not fully profit, you're still years away from breaking even. But, for the operating costs the last 4 months, apparently he's been profitable. I'll take him at his word, but sure. But I'm not impressed because you made $4 million in sales and you're profitable. That could be $1, Eric. that doesn't mean that you made. That means you're in the black for those 4 months, and it took you $4 million to do it. What were the costs and expenses for those 4 months to run it, to pay for employees, to pay for overhead, electricity? Did you make $1, or did you make many dollars?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I no reason to say that he's lying. I hope it's correct.
I'll take him at his word. I have no reason to question it. But profitable just means you made $1.
Yeah,
that's all it means.
So, it means the hobby's healthy. If $4 million is being spent there, $1 million a month, it means that they're doing something right. If that's the case, I'm not making $1 million a month, so I hope it all works out. Some people thought he'd already have closed shop by now, but the reason you're not hearing a lot about it is because we have short-term memory. We in this hobby, we get very excited when something changes, when something happens, and it's like, oh, this is the big story, let's focus on it. And of course everybody goes negative. This isn't going to work. Jeff sucks. This part sucks. This video stuff sucks. His 24 hours a day thing sucks. His break-in platform sucks. Everything sucks. Sucks. And then he didn't fold in a month like some people thought, and people moved on and said, all right, let's go look at something else. And meanwhile, he's still hustling every day and going to work, and the company's still there.
Yeah, I just think kind of touching on what Zach here is saying, what he was saying a minute ago here about we used to joke about all the funny content they were going to give us. I just see nothing. So when I made that video, that some people got mad about too, I laughed. When I made that video, I said, I'm being promised all this stuff and it's not being activated. Only
Right.
just now have they got the website up and running. Okay, good. They've got the breaking, and they've got the live selling, and they've got all this stuff. Yes, but it's not fully operational. It's not all the Death Star is not fully turned on.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, sorry, we got there. But the point is that, so you got that. That's fine. But here's the thing, Eric. You waited too long. I don't care anymore.
Right.
You're not. All right, Geoff, look, I've offered the olive branch to Kenny. I'm offering you the same one. You want to light yourself on fire? We'll talk about it. Otherwise, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care. Get the gasoline in the match and we'll talk. Until then, dead to me. You got to do something interesting for me to care, because I'm not there. You lost me. You already had your chance and I'm bored. I've moved on. So Stuka is saying Strike Era works for 81 and 94, Strike 1 and Strike 2. I think that might be, we need something. I feel like if you want to go with between Donruss, Fleer, and that breaking the Topps monopoly, if you want to talk about breaking the monopoly in baseball, until that strike killed the first boom, I think that's a valid break, because then you can go from 95 on. I'm not sure what your next cutoff would be, because 95 on, there's some cool stuff that happens, some interesting changes. You establish game jerseys. So you do establish that. That's new. 1 per pack autograph products and things like that. Ultra super duper duper premium stuff. The more expensive stuff. In basketball, you could cut it off like 03, because that's when Exquisite shows up and stuff like that. So that's a different breed of things. But yeah, I think you'd have to think carefully, because you're looking for landmark sets or occasions or moments that change the game. For hockey, you could go with when the Cup started, because that was a different era. Because then the Cup became one of the staple rookie pieces to go along with the Young Gun and to go along with the Future Watch. That changed things. You could have a similar thing in basketball. I don't know what it would be in baseball. That part I'm not sure about. I'll get caught up on the comments here. Victor says, great and accurate recap, historical recap, Carlos. Thank you, Victor. You need to clip a segment and make a separate video. Yeah. I just remember it because I lived a lot of that period. I just remember the changeover, how quickly it changed from one set to another, changing the stock, changing this, adding that. It was weird because there was a lot of stuff in it. In retrospect, that's a lot of change in a very short period of time. You talk about changing stock. I talked about changing stock every year consecutively for 4 years. From 91 to 94, you saw 4 different stock for the same product.
I got to say something to Victor, please. Victor, you're pissing me off. Okay. I have asked you nicely over a long period of time to stop pumping up Carlos's tires. Okay. I have to deal with him. And every time you give him credibility, I have to deal with it.
Oh, sorry, your audio cut out. Anyway, so CC says, Geoff said some weird and crazy stuff, but I do want Cardiff to succeed. That's fair. What I don't get is why he would do a show about his revenue. I don't see the benefit. He's basically trying to, look, I won't get into his head. I think he's trying to prove to people that, hey, it's already been successful, guys. It's okay. It's all going good. Everything's great. Okay. I believe you.
Down. We're good. We're still here.
I believe you. I believe you, man.
Send money.
Yeah. $1 million a month is not a break even yet. Yeah. Well, that's what I say. Like, I do count. Look, I'm not, I'll repeat what I said in the video. I'll repeat what I say right now. I am not the one setting the goalposts for Geoff. I'm not. He can take 100 months to break even. That's not my problem. That's fine. Whatever you need to do, man. It's okay. But my thing is, you spent 3 or 4 million or whatever it was to build out this card utopia, and you have to buy all this product just to keep things moving so that you can keep stuff coming in and out the door. The breaking operation may be profitable, maybe not. The website operation may be profitable, maybe not. So in the meantime, until the whole thing is profitable enough, I don't consider it done until you've at least been able to get back to the break-in cost. Until you can get to that point. And maybe you're saying it'll happen in 2 or 3 years. That's fine. Then you're break even in 2 or 3 years. You can be making revenue in the meantime, by the way. That's fine. Oh, but we're profitable every month. Cool. But you still spent this money that you haven't made back yet. Until you're actually at break even, you're not really at break even. From an accounting perspective, of course, break it up, amortize it for 50 years if you want. That's fine. But in the world of reality, I don't consider you to be profitable until you've gotten the cost of building that building back. You can be profitable every month from here to the end of time. But until you've gotten the money back enough where you're break even, you're not break even.
Don't they say that a small business, which I think his is considered a small business, it's not Walmart, right?
Sure.
That a small business, it takes 5 years to stop making money?
Assuming it hasn't gone out of business. that's for ones that are still in existence. Sure.
Well, you don't
It's
go
something
out
like
of
that.
business because, you're making enough to pay your bills and keep the place open. But to start really making money and making money back on your investment, it, from what I've, heard in business classes or whatever, is that it takes about 5 years on average. So you have to hold on tight for 5 years, watch every single penny before you start, putting money aside to upgrade the house and buy a nice sports car and, start enjoying the fruits of your labor. It's going to take at least 5 years.
Yeah, it could be. I think it's fine. And that's why I say, like, look, I don't want to misconstrue that I'm putting some kind of timeline on it. It's like, dude, take as much time as you need. But you started off bragging that you were going to reinvent retail. I'm not the one who did that. I didn't put that on you. You just started your damn store. Like, whatever. It's fine. Great. You want to try to do all this live selling? Hey, great. Give it a go. Let's see how the market will tell us if it works or not. We'll find out soon enough. What was your hurry, though? You were bragging before you actually did the thing. There's your problem. You're doing it to yourself. Chill out. Wait. Let's see. Again, it's been like 4 months. I'll tell you what, I'll give you a year. Let's revisit it in a year and see how you're doing. Okay?
Right.
We'll give you more time. Don't worry. Big was saying, last question, is there any hockey cards ever designate SRC? I don't remember. I don't think for hockey. I don't think we ever ran into that extended rookie card problem.
I think
just trying to think what it would have been, because you had box sets, but I don't think any of them ever got that designation. You didn't have the 84, Fleer update. You didn't have that kind of thing necessarily. Most of the hockey sets were able to be standalone sets, so you had what you had, and the inserts were considered inserts. I don't feel like that's the case. I don't remember one. Not that I can think of one. So I have to think about that. Great question, though, Big Scott. Great question. Time came and went. Yep. 81 to 87 are kind of its own era. And the score shows up and printing goes to the Galaxy. Yep. If I learned one thing this year, Canadians have no respect for Atlanta. Hey, that's the bro. That's mostly Bobby. Yeah, there you go, Victor.
Oh, sure. That's it. Yeah. Real mature, Victor. Real mature.
Hey, it works out. Zach says, has Geoff said anything more about the 24 live selling he's going to have? I think in the last one, he talked about that he still wants to ramp it up and get it to that point, but he's noticed that the live selling and the breaks have not increased as fast as he thought. I think his big takeaway from that video was he was impressed that the floor traffic was enough to be that percentage of his sales at this point.
I would still love to know, statistically, and if I ever get a chance to talk to him, it's the question I'm going to ask. What effect does home baseball games have on your business? I would really be interested to see if he sees an uptick in business on Atlanta Braves Day.
On game day, yeah. I think that's fair. I think also would be interesting, for contrast, would be what happens when baseball season's over.
Yeah.
And the store is operating on its own without that going on.
That would be the one question I'd have for him.
Yeah. And one thing that I do agree with him that he did say on there, that I agreed with him, is that they have not fully leveraged events in the space. Because you could run birthday parties in the space, because you got this big space, right? You got the space where you could do different things. You could have birthday parties. You could have additional trade nights. Right now, they're doing about one scheduled trade night a month. Well, you could have similar kind of events for new products and things like that. When a new product comes out, you could do a breaking event and whatever, have something fun in there in the space. If you do more of that stuff, you're gonna drive additional traffic in. They got the card games. They could have little tournaments in there. Well, if you run a tournament for Pokemon or for whatever, well, guess what? Those kids are going to come in. Maybe they buy some cards. Well, there you go. That's a little boost for sales, right?
I believe it's pronounced Pokemans.
The Pokemans. That's right. Official terminology. The key is getting cash flow positive. I think he's got an uphill battle at this point. I don't see a lot of momentum. Zach says, I could open up a card shop tomorrow and turn a profit. Not sure I could pay my bills and cover the rent, but I turn a profit. Yeah. When Eric talks like the teacher from Charlie Brown, wah, 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 Lululemon.
Paul, did you see what I had for you earlier? Because I found a couple of more.
I think you told me he's number one. Were those small score Lindros box sets considered XRC? I don't think so. I don't recall, but not to my recollection. Maybe they were. I guess I'd have to go find an old hockey Beckett and see what came up. Thought an opportunity to do well with live selling if properly structured. I think he's still hoping for that. We'll see how that goes. In every hobby, there's money for a dealer, and two, that reaches those hobby otherwise doesn't, either because of geography or interest. Yep. With proper marketing, I could see how he could have a captive, profitable audience in a few years that buy from him exclusively via live selling from the store. If he's built up that audience, sure. The key is going to be building up. If you get the loyalty, it's possible. Anything's possible. But it takes time. That's why I say it's too soon.
A percentage of, he's got so many social media followers. A percentage of them have got to have followed him over to this store and are doing business with him online, buying stuff, live, doing whatever he's got available over there. How could he not? He has thousands upon thousands of followers, and some of them are hate following. We talked a little bit about that earlier tonight, but he has a very, very large number of followers in his social media. How could he not have people following him over to that store one way or another?
Yeah. Well, I think it also helps that he's leveraged the Sports Card Investor YouTube channel that already has those followers. So whenever he's promoting the store, he's using that YouTube channel because it's got more eyeballs. So he's leveraging it to try to push as much of that audience as he can to help himself, which makes sense. I get it. Some probably are, Eric, but they're in tune with the hobby. The profit is in bringing in new customers that are his. I think that's what he's hoping for with some of the Whatnot streams and things, because obviously Whatnot is its own platform. So if they can get promoted, they're hoping to earn some customers that tune into the Whatnot streams and then buy stuff. That's basically the hope. They're hoping that they can get people to buy stuff and then stick around. If they put on a good enough show, then they get enough of those live shows. That's the audience you're hoping for. The largest stamp dealer became so via successful marketing to non-collectors. It took him years, but he built a stamp business that serves non-traditional stamp collectors.
Okay.
I think you should get into stamps, Eric.
Okay. Should I start now?
Yeah, he's got some stamps.
Hold on. Wrong box.
Yeah, go to the non-sport. It's hockey.
Oh. All right. Let's see.
Oh, here you go. Here you go. Victor, look it up. 91-92 Parkhurst. Does
I knew it. Oh, I should have said it. Oh, son of a bitch. I on my eyes, I could have sworn.
On your eyes.
Yeah.
91-92. Hold on. Let me guess here. Hold on. 91-92 Parkhurst.
Could have I should have said it out loud.
91-92 Parkhurst. Who's in 91-92? Was there a shoot? I'm just trying to think of 91-92. 91-92 was Hashik.
I knew it was in some early part.
I think it was Bertuzzi. And 94-95 Parkhurst SE. Parkhurst SE. Is that Korea? Aginla? Don't remember now. Been too long.
Yeah, I don't remember. I knew that there was some in Parkhurst, and I was chicken. And I didn't say it out loud.
You are a coward. You are a coward.
I am, and I feel shame. And
here we go.
Yes.
Trent Clatt, Bill Guerin. Bill Guerin, yes. Ray Whitney. Okay. There you go. Thank you, Victor. It's been too many years now. I used to know those early 90s ones pretty well. That's been a long time. Unity has no competition. His customers don't go to shows, don't read hobby publications. They're his customers. Yep. Live selling thing has to fade away eventually. It's not practical. Just scroll eBay. That's fair.
Okay.
Like I said, he's banking on an experiment, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that goes. Like I said, I'm interested in seeing the results when there's more data. I need to see more. And that means down the road. I don't care about these raw, sales numbers that you throw in there. Which categories, which sections work better? You're basically conducting the experiment for all of us to see. So we'll find out.
Hold on. I'm almost
Still working on stamps, huh?
Yeah, a couple of these are pretty interesting, believe it or not. I just got to get the damn things out of here. They've been in here for 20-something years. And now I'm trying to get them out.
It's the dawn of hobby time.
All right. So here is a Lou Gehrig stamp.
With the cancellation as a bonus.
Yeah. Here is a Eisenhower stamp. And here are two. I have two of them somehow. Kennedy stamps.
Look at this guy.
What else? Here is a Mighty Casey at the bat stamp.
I told you he loves baseball.
And then I have, well, I don't think these are real stamps. You tell me. I don't think these are. I think they've been sitting in here for 100 years. I don't know. I don't think they're real stamps. They could be.
Yeah, they probably had a series for comics.
Yeah. 39-cent stamps.
Probably an anniversary of some kind.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. Yeah, probably an anniversary commemorating, superheroes, DC.
Yeah. Aquaman and Plastic Man. And this is Hawkman and Wonder Woman. And I think that's it for my stamp collection.
Look at this guy.
I don't think there's any more hiding. I think that's it. So I can't imagine that anyone was interested in that, but I do have some stamps. Don't know why, don't remember, but there they are.
I believe the last appearance of the XRC was 2001 Prospect premiere. David Wright, Ryan Howard. Zach says, does he keep the stamps by the knives? Like how many collections? Little do you know.
Oh, I got collections, man. I got a little bit of everything.
He collects collections.
Yeah. I haven't even thought about these things. For I don't know, long time. And then all
There you go. Dave's giving a little info there. DC Comics superheroes from 05.
All right. Well, then I got that.
There you go. Look at that. Y'all got stamp collections. So let's kind of get some. What was that?
Remember in the past, I brought my pennies.
Yes, it's
I
true.
can get pennies back. Yeah, I can get my pennies back out.
There you go. So any kind of last thoughts or comments? My voice is starting to give out a little bit here. I've been able to push it a little bit tonight, but I think it's about where it needs to be. So I need to give it a bit of a rest. But if there's any last comments or thoughts in there, feel free to throw them in. We'll get them, and then we'll call it an evening. At least back closer to our normal live stream this week.
If anybody wants to give me money for these president stamps, let me know, and I will sell them to you.
You know what's funny? The Eisenhower one, I'm pretty sure, because they used to have those little stamp kits that you could get, like, whatever, 500 US stamps or 200 US stamps or whatever. I'm pretty sure I've seen that Eisenhower one before. I don't know what year it's from, but I feel like I've seen it before.
Couldn't tell you.
But they got those big old stamp catalogs. If somebody wants to go do a deep dive, there's a lot.
Anybody's interested in presidential stamps, I'll sell them to you.
Yep. Let's see here. I think we had a good night. I agree. I think we managed to cover some ground. Managed there. I think it was worked out. David says, I got a preview from Heritage for future auction. E107 Wagner's coming to market. Looks nice. I think we need to make that Wagner into football, man. Got too much vintage baseball, Dave. Too much vintage baseball. 6 Cent Ike was issued a few different times. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. I never got far into stamps. I always dabbled in a lot of different stuff, but I never got into it.
I can't believe I remembered I even had those. So it said stamps, and I all of a sudden the light went off.
I think you got a box that just says miscellaneous crap. So whenever the moment is right, you just go in.
That's what this is. Here's this. Now I like this. I think this is cool. All right, 1962 Dutch, John Wayne, Richard Widmark. I like that.
You know what the problem is with it, Eric?
What's that?
The Dutch.
The Dutch, yeah. 62 Dutch set. Yeah.
That's 63 too many Dutch.
The 63 too many Dutch. Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a John Wayne card.
CZ, hope you feel better soon, Carlos. Thank you very much. Good long weekend to all Canadians. Yes. Do enjoy your Canada Day. Eric will be celebrating with bells on.
I got my Serena rookie.
Look at this guy. Net Pro.
That's
some guys had a good evening. Yeah, I know the Net Pros are for the tennis.
Yep. PSA
have
8
a good
rookie.
Have a good evening, Zach. Dave says, nice John Wayne. There you go. Barry Sanders, yep.
Barry Sanders rookie 9. Where I got these, couldn't even tell you.
There you go. All right. So I think that's it. I think that's about as much as my voice will allow me. Eric, before we go, as we take us out, can you give us, so real quick, everybody, thank you for joining in. Appreciate you, everybody in the chat. Appreciate everybody for the conversation. Hit the like button on the way out so Eric pays for it. Thank you very much for that. Hope you enjoyed yourselves and enjoy your long weekend, whatever it ends up being. So have a good time. But Eric, as we go out, can you give us a little war and peace? Send us out.
All right. Well, give me a second here.
All right. We need a little culture to finish the evening. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Still a little time left, East Coast and West Coast. Try to get back to a more regular episode. We'll see if we can put some stuff together. So We'll see. We'll give Geoff, we'll give Kenny, we'll give them all the opportunity to light themselves on fire. We wait another week, and we're getting close to the national now, so we're going to start getting national. Look, if you think the vintage baseball coverage is abundant, wait until you start getting bludgeoned with national videos every 5 seconds. Wear comfortable shoes and stuff.
And stuff.
That's right. Think about it.
Book 4, 1806, Chapter 1.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Have a good night. We'll talk later. War and peace. Go.
Early in the year 1806, Nicholas Rostov returned home on leave. Denisov was going home to Voronezh, and Rostov persuaded him to travel with him as far as Moscow and to stay with him there. Meeting a comrade at the last post station, but one before Moscow, Denisov